delusional. I'm always going to say this: pray for them, pray for ourselves, pray for each other. Gotta pray for each other, especially pray for the left. Them damn liberals, them damn Karens, them damn betas. Pray for them to be strong. They like the Wizard of Oz. Need a heart, need a brain. I gotta pray for them. Well, let us continue. This is Joy Reid talking to Maury. It's insane. Check it out.
And if you want to know how weird 2026 has gotten, Maury Povich, of all people, has the calmest takedown of Joy Reid that you will ever see. Let's dive in.
Why would you say that women here are like the women in Iran?
This is why I say that. Because
is that clickbait stuff?
No, I really meant it. I genuinely did. And this is why. Because when I look at Project 2025, which my team and I read, we took that giant 2-volume 900-page and we broke it down. We gave each producer when I was at MSNBC, and we were like, we're going to report on this. We're going to read it. What I read in Project 2025 is a recipe for creating an American Iran. What is Iran? It is an Islamic republic. It is a religious republic run by a religious edict.
These people who believe that white Christians have become a minority, and so therefore we have to retake the country.
You gotta pray for Joy Reid, you guys.
I do, and I think I've read enough of what these Christian nationalists, these white Christian nationalists say, and I've worked enough with Robert Jones at Public Religion Research Institute, who studies this for a living. This minority, they are a minority of even Christians. They believe that this country should be run as a theocracy, which is what Iran is. They believe, just like the mullahs in Iran, that women should be only giving birth, being mothers, they should be home. But even in Iran, they actually believe more in having women go to university.
You gotta pray for Joy Reid, you guys.
Universities, get women out of the sciences, get women out of the military.
But is that any different than when all the Irish and all the Italians and all the Jews came over in the early part of the 20th century, and you had all these Father Coughlin people and all these other white Christians very upset because they thought they were going to lose their majority? Is that any different?
These people are in charge of the country. Russell Vogt, who runs the Office of Management and Budget, is a Christian nationalist by his own definition. So, the threat is inside the house. They're running the country.
But we've had Christian nationalists forever.
We have, but what we've never had is a regime that uses executive orders and the force of the federal government to strip women, people of color, out of military opportunities, to literally fire.
But I don't think that's a white Christian thing. Do you?
In their mind, it is. They're trying to restore a hegemonic white Christian nationalist country. They believe that's what the country was meant to be, and they're trying to restore it. That's what they say. I have to believe them when they say it. And these are fascist principles, and I don't see any difference between if you're doing them in the name of Islam or doing them in the name of Christianity.
So in other words, you're saying that if you're not a white Christian nationalist in the United States, you should be worried about your life.
You should.
Wow. I'm not.
No?
No.
Why not?
I'm comfortable in my skin. You campaigned for Obama. Mm-hmm. It was your days where I'm going into politics. I'm going to campaign.
Got out of news. I was like, I'm going into this.
So what I don't understand is, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I really was disappointed.
Thank you guys for being in the chat. Name is Deunta. Like and subscribe. Thank you.
We're just a waste.
Common Sense Channel.
Well, I think you have to also remember that
I'm Republican, conservative,
one of the most
off their plantation,
determined,
red pill,
and I would say diabolical opponents in political history, and that's Mitch McConnell, who made it very clear that his goal in life was to effectively shut down the Obama presidency.
And what he did about the Supreme Court was ridiculous.
Abominable. I mean, he decided, this man will not be able to be president on my watch. I will shut down everything.
And by the way, Republicans will rule that day because, because if the Democrats take
Thank you.
I'm not saying, I don't care.
Subscribe, everybody, if you can. Subscribe. Thank you.
Politics to me is personal. But if the Democrats win the Senate and Alito retires, there is no chance
Yes, I'm a Republican. MAGA, baby. You know?
That Trump is going to get a Supreme Court justice because the Democratic Senate will hold it up.
Well,
just the way McConnell did.
Well, first of all, Democrats do not play politics the way Republicans do. The difference between the parties, they do not. They do not.
Please.
Democrats play by the Marquis de Queensberry rules. I think they do not. They're not rule breakers. What's been
You're trying to tell me
they're not.
If the Democrats take the Senate,
I would hope they would.
2027.
I hope
in 2027, and Alito retires, and Trump names a Supreme Court justice, that the Democrats are going to have hearings and actually confirm him.
I think they will.
Or her,
because they don't.
Not a chance.
I don't think that they play like. Can you imagine Chuck Schumer doing any of the things Mitch McConnell did? Of course not. They couldn't even hold out on a government shutdown because 8 of them turned tail and gave in. Democrats capitulate and they try to play by the rules. Republicans don't care about the rules. They rewrite the rules.
They're not doing it right now. I mean, you can't get DHS funding through.
Hold on, I got a little envelope here. Let's see what's in it. Hold on. Test results have come back.
Thank you, guys.
And
good morning. Thank you.
Donald Trump is still Joy Reid's daddy. Not to mention, he's also her president. I never thought I'd live to see the day where Maury Povich would actually go into anything remotely political. And he even admits, listen, I hear what you have to say, and I don't believe a single second of it. All right? He even tells her what she's saying is patently false. He knows it, okay? He can smell the BS because he's done it on his own show for decades. And Joy Reid is just sitting there like this weird substitute teacher going, oh, really? Tell me more. No wonder she got kicked out of mainstream media. Not only is she awful at her job, she tells patently untrue things. There's a ton of this to unpack here. So let's start off with the Christian nationalist stuff, okay? The Christian nationalist stuff is mostly a hoax. Yes, it exists. Yes.
For the last, let's say, maybe 20 to 40 years, the Democrat Party's been in power. You had Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, a lot of Democrats been in power over like 30 to maybe 50 years. And the reason why there's a problem, because of the Democrats. They've been in power too long. We need terms for these people. There was no way they should retire in Congress and become multimillionaires in Congress. That is straight craziness. You know? And once again, I was a Democrat. 43 years old. I voted for Obama the first time, which I shouldn't have done, but it's cool. But other than that, he ain't done nothing for nobody. Only thing he did was for the alphabet community. He took care of the alphabet community. He said marriage between a man and a woman, and next thing you know, he's doing everything for the alphabet community. The man's about it's okay to have a straight man and a gay man have a gay man talk to their son. That's crazy. I want no gay man talk to my son. No disrespect to them, but I don't need no gay man talk to my son about feelings. That's what his mother is for, you know? Democrat Party know where the woman is. And that's crazy, you know? But let's continue.
There are people in I think 1 or 2 places, high places of government that think like this. Most of them, however, are merely bureaucrats and won't be sticking around long. What she's talking about and projecting into this Christian nationalist idea is basically Pete Hegseth going in there and cleaning things up. Okay? That's it. Pete Hegseth went in there and started cleaning up all the DEI nonsense that the military was trying to push because they wanted to up the recruitment numbers, and they thought for some insipid reason that if they make it more DEI friendly, LGBT friendly, you get more recruits because then you have a larger pool. Well, the numbers have come back, and it turns out, no, that has actually done the exact opposite, and now we're making things worse by spending more money for people to get transitioned. It's an asinine.
And right, as a Christian man, you know, I can't be a Democrat. They don't know what a woman is, and they believe in abortion. And that's the problem now with the Black community. We're aborting all our babies. We could have been the majority, now they're the minority. You know, because we keep on killing our babies. Makes no sense. Planned Parenthood is funded by the Democrats, made by the Democrats. We got to wake up, people. Get off that plantation. You know. Let's continue. I'm here.
System, and it needed to be uprooted. So Joy, let's be honest here, who also has no joy in her face, she is projecting something into the Christian nationalist sphere. Now, where that fear comes from,
Jesus is the way.
In the late 90s.
The truth and the light.
Had the back end of the Billy Graham revivals, evangelicals, white evangelical Protestants were sort of the dominant class. Everything was Christ-coded in the 2000s. The Christian counterculture was at its peak, ironically, right about the same time country music peaked around 2009, 2010. And it wasn't until about 2014, in my opinion, did that era fully end and started creating the woke era. And that lasted for about 10 years as well. Now we're getting something completely new, and we don't know quite what it is yet. But she's projecting some vague ideas of Christian nationalism that were kind of present in evangelical circles. They weren't deeply rooted, and most of them have retreated. They're gone. They're not really around. They don't have real staying power. She's afraid of something that really deep down doesn't actually exist. I mean, it does, but it will never have enough.
Thank you for subscribing. Power. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
And she's projecting that it's the entire administration.
Speaks. Thank you.
This is what leftists do all the time. They take one data point that sounds like another thing, and then they say everything is like this thing now. Well, you see a clear correlation between the two. The leftists must be correct. When all it is one point, one set of data points that look like another. It doesn't mean every other set is going to look like that. They don't want you looking around. They want you to see the one thing that they are truly afraid of. They're afraid of Christian nationalism, just for the same reason they're afraid of fascism. The thing is, they're right to be afraid of them, but they don't understand how they're doing is. What they don't understand it's a boogeyman. That's all it is. Not the Baba Yaga. All right, this ain't John Wick. This is a boogeyman. And they aren't under the bed. Meanwhile, Joy Reid is out here also bloviating about the idea that Republicans don't play by the rules. Maury ended her right at the end of this little clip here.
Right.
Okay? We can't even fully fund DHS because Republicans don't have the guts to stand up for the SAVE Act, won't do certain things in order to protect.
You gotta grow a spine. You Republicans, we gotta grow a spine, y'all.
It's maddening. And Joy Reid says that Republicans don't play by the rules because Mitch McConnell did one thing. I repeat, one.
Yeah, the word woke was hijacked by them Karens and them the beta males and Karens. That's how the word woke got flipped because of them. You're right. The white people did it. Them Karens.
Thing. He was terrible at dealing with Barack Obama, but he had one card to play with the passing of Justice Scalia.
The damn liberals.
And he said, I will not give consent to the president. The Senate has that power. It's rare that they ever use it, but they have that power. And it was probably the best move Mitch McConnell ever did. And I want to give Mitch McConnell some credit here. And remember, this is only in context. Mitch McConnell wanted to restore the Supreme Court and the lower courts as well. He did.
And also, I know this too. When it comes to Obama, all these presidents, they don't interfere with elections. They stay behind. When it comes to Obama and the Democrat Party, Obama been around after he been president twice. He still interfering with the elections. He wants you to vote this way, and then all of a sudden go that way. He wants you to vote this way. So like the gerrymandering, I guess he's supposed to have been don't vote. Now it's vote yes. It's all BS. It's all BS. Obama is the dictator. That man need to go sit down somewhere. You've been the president twice. Go sit down. You don't see Bush out there walking around campaigning with nobody that's a Republican or lifting them up. You don't see none of that going on. Only Obama doing that. Like and subscribe. You need to sit down.
He got them chock full of individuals that weren't going to be these ridiculous rule by fiat little kings running around telling everyone in Congress, everyone in the country, everyone in the executive branch what to do. Because they had a ruling, therefore you have to follow it. Mitch McConnell
subscribe if you haven't. Oh, wow. Thank you.
Joy Reid does not
Let's get to 2,000 subscribers. Let's get to 2,000. Why not?
Somehow is. I have no idea how he's walking around. But Maury Povich does. He understands. And he's not into...
Ralph Jackson, you can get off my channel then if you want my channel while you're here.
Politics. And he understands more than Joy Reid does, could do in 100 of her lifetimes. She is just not capable of understanding politics. And yet she's out here speaking upon it like she is, like she knows anything. This is truly a bizarre situation. But
you ever watch something start falling apart in real time and the people, even the people who were supposed to defend it, start backing away? Yeah, that's Virginia right now.
You started as a Democrat. Were you registered as a Democrat? Would you vote Democrat? How'd you vote in the most previous Virginian election?
I voted for Spanberger. I was a split ticket. Spanberger, Miyares, and then Hashimi.
Why'd you vote for Spanberger?
Well, one, she was a colleague of my father's, but two,
that's politics.
Winsome serious joke.
Uh-huh.
You know, like not a serious candidate, and that was an offense to my liberty, really.
Sure. I mean,
why? Like, what is gained from Spanberger?
Oh, nothing. I mean, I now looking at it, we're giving away so much that you can see that she's part of a larger plan that
is voting for her?
Yes, absolutely. 100% I regret voting for her.
Oh, well, there you go.
That what she's doing to
it's so recent, though.
It's so recent, but look at how radical it's been. That
no. This is a good point. Just to interject, she did not campaign on being a nut job ramming through a bunch of psychotic policies. She tried playing the moderate. She gets in, and all of a sudden, everybody's like, "Whoa! What is she doing?" Mm-hmm. Now people are starting to freak out. So I accept Mark saying that he regrets it.
Thank you, James. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
I mean, yesterday on my show, I had Conscious Caracal, Ernst Manziel. He's a South African activist, and like he's literally describing why accelerationism is just like a flawed ideology. Because again, when you like install the left into power to like teach the right to be more radical, all you really do is just bury the right further. To this point, like voting for a supposed moderate. I mean, Mandela coded moderate. Nelson Mandela coded moderate, and everyone was like, "Yeah, okay, he just wants like wholesome chungus, like racial justice or whatever." And then literally 10 years later, they're like, "By the way, if your management's more than like 10% white, we're just like going to completely shut you out of the South African economy." So it's like, it's always going to be a bait and switch. This is time we're in a civilizational battle. Like maybe if America was like fairly stable, then like you could believe politicians when they're telling you.
But it's not stable by design.
Listen,
well, regardless of what the situation
is, this is the function of politics. Politicians run as moderates all the time because they want a lowest common denominator voter base, which maximizes their chance to win. Then they get in and they do crazy things. Trump ran as a moderate, and his supporters are actually angry. He's not more of a right populist. He's actually a moderate, meaning we got the bump stock ban. Trump's moderate. He's enacting policies right now that have people shocked. Like, I can't believe Trump's in favor of glyphosate. What made you think he wouldn't be? Don't get me wrong. He brought in RFK Jr. I get it. So you thought RFK Jr. would have an influence, but Trump is once again, he was a big pharma guy. He provided a bunch of funding from the pharmaceutical companies. Then you get, now I will say the FISA thing is funny because Trump called for getting rid of the FISA, surveillance stuff, and now he's fighting for it. So I'll give him that one. But with the Iran war, he's repeatedly said that he would never allow them to have a nuclear weapon.
Stop playing around.
And he was pounding around with John Bolton in his first term. So the people that are acting surprised that he's friends with neocons, I'm like, guys, he was the whole time. People were attacking him saying he didn't drain the swamp in his first term, and you were hoping he was going to do it in his second term. I'm not surprised by a lot of these things. Some of it, yes.
Here's where the shift starts. These are, not necessarily politicians. You got regular people up here, regular voters. Dude just said he picked what he thought was the safe moderate option in this situation, and now he's sitting there like, voter regret. Yeah, I voted for something that just wasn't real. Is how he's feeling, and that feeling. That's dangerous for any political machine because once people stop trusting the label, they start looking at the results. And that's when they do that, it get a little shaky out here. Now, here's what gets pretty interesting because usually when something like this is happening, you expect the media to try to smooth it over. This time, man, look, didn't even hide it.
Middle of the district, and if you go in one direction, there's another district about 1.5 miles away. In the other direction, there's another district about 2 miles away, really highlighting the shifts that are being seen right now with these proposed maps. And just take a look at how this map is structured. What they do is they've taken the heavily Democratic areas in the northern area of Virginia, and they've created 5 separate districts that basically pinwheel out to go out into conservative, more rural areas, including where we are right now in the proposed 7th congressional district. It's actually interesting. We're kind of like smack dab in the middle of the district. And if you go in one direction, there's another district about 1.5 miles away. In the other direction, there's another district about 2 miles away, really highlighting the shifts that are being seen right now with these proposed maps.
Did you catch what just happened? That wasn't some random blog or opinion piece. Well, I would describe it as an opinion piece. That was CNN standing in the middle of it like, yeah, this map kind of looks crazy. You got districts, districts stretching, twisting, reaching out like they're trying to grab voters instead of represent them. And here's the wild part. This is the same type of thing people have been complaining about for years. Only now, it suddenly got a different tone depending on who's doing it. It's funny how that works. But don't worry, there's always an explanation, right? It's necessary. It's temporary. It's for balance. I see how that works when somebody actually presses them on it.
People of Virginia ought to vote no on this, if for no other reason than their radical governor flat lied to them. She told them during her campaign she had no interest in partisan gerrymandering. She wasn't going to push this. And it's the very first thing that she did. When I hear Barack Obama say, oh, this will be a temporary redistricting, all I can hear is Barack Obama saying, if you like your doctor, you can keep your doctor. He lied then. He's lying now. If the Democrats take this map from 6 to 5, in a 50-50 state to a 10-1 map and put every congressional district under the control of a Democrat who lives in Fairfax County in Northern Virginia, it will be a travesty. It will be a tragedy for a state that has had a tradition of being a very balanced, kind of a bipartisan, nonpartisan state.
Thank you, guys.
And it's going to be run by radical Democrats forever. There'll be nothing temporary about this. I'm just arguing that they lied to the people of Virginia about it. The governor, Spanberger, who ran as a moderate. I'm a normal moderate person, and I have no interest in all this partisan politics. I'll never gerrymander your state. That's what she said, and now she lied, and now they're trying to go from a 6-5 map to a 10-1 map. There is not a single fair thing about it, and there won't be a temporary thing about it either. And now you have Democrats from all over the country, like Barack Obama and George Soros and Gavin Newsom and whoever, coming into Virginia to try to basically turn Virginia into the national headquarters for the radical left of the Democratic Party.
If Abigail Spanberger is your definition of a radical Democrat, then I just think the goalposts have been moved quite a bit.
I don't consider her to be a radical Democrat. I consider her to be a lying radical Democrat.
Arnold, what's up,
ran as a
Arnold?
moderate. She promised she wouldn't do any of these things, Van, and you know it. And now her approval ratings, according to several independent surveys, have plummeted. She's the least popular governor of Virginia at this point in her term of any modern governor of Virginia.
That's the problem right there. You can't campaign one way. Unity, moderation, fairness, and then turn around and put something that looks like a complete power move. People aren't dumb. They might not catch everything, but they definitely catch when energy is switching up. And once that trust
Doing
breaks,
great.
man,
Thanks for asking. Doing great.
You don't get to glue it back together with talking points. You just don't work like that. Now, here's where it goes from questionable to straight up awkward. Because some of the same voices pushing this today weren't saying the same thing a few years ago.
I think we've got to end the practice of
Number hypocrisy. Hypocrisy. Yes, let's
drawing our
continue.
congressional districts so that politicians can pick their voters and not the other way around.
Let a bipartisan get to it. By voting yes, you can push back against the Republicans trying to give themselves an unfair advantage in the midterms, and we're counting on you.
Well, and of course, Democrats say Republicans started this whole thing in Texas. Laura, what do you say to that?
Yeah, well, I will say that Texas had an influx of about 2.5 million people in the past several years. They needed to redistrict, and that's also a very red state. You look at a state like Virginia, and it's purple. As you just pointed out, it's 6-5. They're almost evenly split, and they want to make it 10-1. It is completely unfair. They know it. And again, they don't care who knows that they are trying to weigh the scales. It is very obvious.
I think we've got it. That's tough. Same person, same issue, completely different tone. Back then, we got to end this. Now it's, well, you should probably vote for this. And look, people can change their minds. That's fair. But when the change just so happens to benefit your side in the moment, that's when people start raising them eyebrows at you. Because now it doesn't feel like principle anymore. It just feels like strategy. And while that's going on, behind the scenes, the stakes are getting higher, it seems. We're not talking small adjustments either. We're talking about flipping the whole...
Subscribe. Let's get to 2,000 subs. 2,000 subs. Let's get it.
Started the Democrat Redistricting Commission. And then in 2022 and again in 2024, they pressed to pick up seats in New York. But with all that said, it's about Virginia. And Virginia in 2020 held a constitutional referendum, amended our Constitution to have nonpartisan, independent redistricting. 2/3 of Virginians said we want politics out, politicians out. And now we have Abigail Spanberger saying she's going to ignore the voice of Virginians, override them, and try to adopt the most gerrymandered map in America. Today we have what is
14 states, no voter ID? That's crazy. Who is this person? Yeah, get this person up out of here.
What is assessed as the fairest map in America. I don't love it. It's 6 Democrats and 5 Republicans, but it's fair. And she wants to override it and turn it into the most gerrymandered map in America. It's wrong. Virginians should stand up and vote no tomorrow.
Do you think that Republicans, or even, I understand that there are some Democrats who don't like this either. Is there a chance that this might not happen?
There is a chance, and that's because it is viewed as being such a gerrymandered grab of power, and they've lied to us. I mean, even the Washington Post came out and said that this is the most brazenly dishonest campaign from the yes vote, and they effectively endorsed the no vote, the Washington Post. And Virginians understand this. And so what we're seeing is not only Republicans coming together, but independents and a lot of Democrats. Mm-hmm. So this is going to be close. Listen, it's an uphill battle because they have poured $70 million into this. That's more than they spent on the governor's race.
Well, I live in Illinois, so I know for a fact what's going on. I live in Illinois right now. And gerrymandering in Illinois is ridiculous.
In a very short period of time to try to fool, deceive, and trick Virginians. But the reality is a no vote is for the fairest maps in America.
Good morning, everybody.
Hakeem Jeffries, the Democratic leader in the House, has put in about $20 million of his own campaign cash to help here. And just a quick glance this morning.
Good morning.
Now, that's not a tweet. That's a complete rewrite. You go from something that's at least competitive to something that looks like it's locked in before anyone even votes. And when people hear numbers like that, that's when they start paying attention, trust me. Because now it's not about politics. It's about whether your vote even feels like it matters. So now the pressure's on. Media slipping, voters questioning, politicians defending. Only thing left, the actual result, right? Let's see.
Democrats in the midterms, right? This is about a redistricting effort. It is a dramatic one, and still early. But look at these numbers here. You can see about 36% of the vote is coming.
Okay, so the audio here is pretty bad. So instead of me let me see if it smooths over. Hold on.
And so it's coming in pretty fast here. We're not able to call it yet. Right now, though, no is ahead significantly.
Thank you, Arnold, for that, man. Thanks for the super chat, Arnold. Thanks from yesterday and today, man. You're a blessing. Thank you.
That shit sounds horrible. But breaking. President Trump just beat Barack Obama big time. In Virginia at 55%. As 55% voted against Obama's gerrymandering scheme, but Virginia with 43% of the vote in. And there it is. All that buildup, all that push, all that messaging, and people still went and said, nah, We good. That's the part that doesn't get talked about enough. You can run ads. You can sit there and do your best to spin it. You know, that's what these Dems do. You can have big names step in, but at the end of the day, man, people are sitting there making a decision for themselves, and that's exactly what we want. Y'all see it, right? Look.
They're not gonna lie, your consistency and energy are impressive.
Let's take a second to look at the full picture.
Thank you.
You got voters realizing that they were sold one thing and got another. You got the media, accidentally or not, showing cracks in the story. You got the same old statements coming back at the worst possible time. And
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Final moment when people can decide if they're buying it or not. At this time, what I'm seeing, they're not.
Said that you voted for Kamala Harris.
Yes.
And that you regretted it.
Yeah. I know that Joe Biden should have been stepped away, and it was delayed because these people wanted Kamala to be the candidate, and there was no way in hell it was going to happen unless he left when he left, as opposed to earlier where there could have been a primary. She would have had to compete against people in order to that, right? So I know all of that. But I also believed that she was the kind of person that if the power existed in one house of Congress, if not both, that she was somebody
Beautiful Bill. What's up?
acquiesce and work across the aisle in order to get things done. That was my belief. And then when I saw how things were unfolding and how out in the clouds the Democratic Party was even after they lost the election, I said, this is no hope. I said, I don't know what the hell I was thinking about believing that y'all would get it because you still don't get it. You really, really don't. Trump, you bring up the indictments, you bring up his behavior, you bring up all of these different things, and America still said he's more normal than y'all. And you still don't get it. And I thought you'd get it, but you didn't get it. So I lost off it.
So even somebody like Stephen A. Smith is coming out here and saying, yeah,
y'all effed up.
I regret voting for Kamala.
Yeah.
Now, do I believe him? I don't know. I've seen Stephen A. Smith flip-flop like no other. He is the definition of a fence rider. Okay.
He's starting to wake up.
You know, next to the term fence rider, it's Stephen A. Smith's face, right? So I don't know. I don't know if I necessarily believe him, but this is a thing. And this video clip that I'm about to show you has been getting quite a lot of views online of this gentleman saying the exact same thing. But before we hop into that, make sure you guys smack that like button. If you are not subscribed already, hit that subscribe button as well. It's totally free. I also have a second channel.
Hit that subscribe button. It's free. It's free.
Down below in the description box.
Let's grow 2,000 subs. Let's do it.
That being said, let's hop right on into it, shall we?
I voted for Kamala Harris, and I thought she would be a great president until very recently when I saw her comments about the war in Iran. I'm going to play some clips from before the election and from after the war. See what you think.
Our country do you consider to be our great establishment?
Right. Hillary Clinton called it the deplorables.
An obvious one in mind, which is Iran. Iran has American blood on their hands. Okay? This attack on Israel, 200 ballistic missiles. What we need to do to ensure that Iran never achieves the ability to be a nuclear power, that is one of my highest priorities.
So if you have proof that Iran is building a nuclear weapon, would you take military action?
I'm not going to talk about hypotheticals at this moment.
That video is from before the election. She's talking about Iran has American blood on their hands, pointing out the fact that Iran has attacked Americans multiple times. Over 1,000 Americans have been killed since 1979 when the Islamic Republic stole the government of Iran. So she's aware. She's aware of the threat that Iran poses. and promising to be strong on national security.
What's the message to Iran?
Don't.
As President Biden said, just don't.
Exactly. One word. Pretty straightforward.
That's
Really?
Kamala Harris as vice president, supporting the Biden policy against Iran, understanding that Iran is a serious threat. But what happens when Trump takes action against Iran?
What happens?
What does Kamala have to say now? Let's take a look.
Let's take a look.
When it comes down to it, is that if we want to stop Donald Trump with this random decision that he has arrived at, then Congress must act, and Congress must act immediately. The American people do not want our sons and daughters to go into this unauthorized war of choice, and
Kamala, you don't got no kids.
I unequivocally oppose it.
I'm so happy that somebody else is calling this stuff out. These people are absolute snakes. Because every Democrat, matter of fact, I might upload a YouTube short later today. Make sure you're watching my YouTube shorts. I dropped some gems in my YouTube shorts. So if you're not watching those, definitely check them out. I drop like 3 of them every single day. So you definitely want to check those out. But I might be dropping a YouTube short of just nothing but Democrat.
Right, Kamala had 4 years in office with Joe Biden, and they asked her what she would do. She said nothing. And she said she want to run again for 27, 28. Stop the monkey ball. Joe Biden was not coherent, how you want to call it. She's making the calls, Obama's making the calls, Nancy Pelosi and Chuck. That's what was running America in 4 years. Those people, not Joe Biden and that auto pen. Yep.
Saying that Iran is the enemy and that we should go after Iran and all of this other stuff. And as soon as Trump does it, oh no, we can't do that to Iran. How dare Trump? And it's like, come on, bro, really? You mother, bro. I ain't gonna lie, it gets me so heated sometimes when I see this stuff. And I see it all the time. I see it all the time. And I posted some of the clips on my YouTube shorts, right? Of Democrats saying one thing, and then as soon as Trump does it, they flip and say something completely different. Or they're on the opposite side of the issue, like this whole Iran issue. I've got clips of literally every Democrat you can think of saying exactly what you just heard Kamala say. But now all of a sudden, because Trump is doing it, it's an issue, it's a problem, and you got to make it this whole big thing because, oh my goodness, the American people are suffering. And it's just like, come on, bro. Y'all were all in cahoots on the same idea not long ago. I got the video footage, so you can't say you didn't say it. You can't say you didn't. I got proof. And so that is one major reason why until the Democrat Party is overhauled, I will never, ever vote for any one of them mother lovers a day in my life. Ever. Ever. Because they don't stand on anything. I would have a lot more respect for them if they stood on their words. But time after time after time again, they just flip-flop. They flip-flop. It's the same, you know, I'm going to save that just because maybe I'll make that into a whole video where I'm just showing y'all a bunch of situations and circumstances where Democrats agreed, but then as soon as Trump did it, then they disagreed. Because I feel like I got enough clips to make an entire video on something like that.
This random decision that Donald Trump has arrived at. Like, this is just out of the blue. Nobody could have seen this coming. All Donald Trump's choice. Forget the fact that every president, every administration since 1979 has understood the threat posed by the Islamic Republic occupying Iran and turning that country's resources into a war machine against the United States and our allies around the world. Forget all of that. This is just Donald Trump's choice. And the American people don't want it. Of course, the American people don't want to go to war. We don't know any better. We're not paying attention to the nitty-gritty details of international foreign policy. We don't know how many Americans have been killed. We don't remember how many embassies have been bombed. We don't know that the Iranian school children wake up every morning chanting death to America like the Pledge of Allegiance. You're the expert. You're supposed to be the leader that helps us understand these complex issues. And you're playing politics with it. Of course, war is unpopular. Of course. And you just turn it into a political football. You could criticize how Trump is conducting the war, say you would have done it this way, you would have done it that way, but you don't. You just say this is a war of choice, a random decision, even though you know better. Score cheap political points. Pretend that this is just another crazy mistake from Donald Trump. Whoever was in office right now, whatever president from whatever party, would have had to deal with this threat. It should have been dealt with under Obama, when they kidnapped a ship full of Navy sailors and held them hostage. No, he created the nuclear deal, which would have expired this year. The limits on nuclear enrichment would have expired this year. And the limits on rockets, the distance that Iranian rockets can travel, expired 3 years ago. That deal would have been gone. There is no diplomacy right now. And Iran knows that. They were planning for exactly this year, the entire time, to attack. Oh, nuclear deal's over? Let's go. One more clip.
He entered a war, got pulled into it by Bibi Netanyahu. Let's be clear about that. Entered a war that the American people do not want, putting at risk American service members.
And then she jumps on the blame Israel bandwagon.
Yep. When she y'all see why I get so frustrated? These people are so fake. They're so fake. Oh my goodness, F Israel, because that's the popular thing to say now. She literally mentioned Israel in that first clip that the brother showed earlier in the video clip. She specifically brought up Israel in their attack on Israel. She was so concerned. But now all of a sudden...
Thank you, Arnold. Thank you, man. Appreciate this, man. Thank you.
Since it's the popular thing to do, F Israel. It's so pathetic, man. It's so pathetic. And I ain't even saying you got to be an Israel supporter, okay? I don't give a shit about Israel, all right? But to flip-flop like that is just crazy because now all of a sudden it's popular. It was the same thing that they did. Some of you guys probably remember this. When all of a sudden, all these Democrats wanted to start cursing all of a sudden. Like, they all wanted to start using foul language. And it's like, what are you doing? You know? Because I guess Trump does it. And it's like, but that's Trump. That was Trump at the beginning. That was Trump in the middle. And it's going to be Trump in the end. That is Trump. Trump has always been Trump. Through and through. Y'all trying to be something that you aren't. And I always remember the one chick. I can't think of the Democrat chick's name, but she was like, "Please don't tell my kids, but we're going to fuck Trump." And it was like, "What did you just say? You're gonna have sexual relations with Trump? That's literally what you. We're going to F Trump. Like you didn't even like use the curse word right. Like what are you doing?" It was so cheesy, man. And oh man, some of y'all probably remember that clip. Let me know if you do, and let me know if you remember what Democrat. I believe she was a congresswoman. Let me know if you know what her name was.
Like, they just pulled us into this war for no reason, right? Not because there's been rockets flying at them for the past 2.5 years. Ever since October 7th, 2023, when Hamas invaded Israel and took over 200 people hostage and killed over 1,000 in the most ruthless way possible. No, we just Israel just
Zach, what up, Zach?
Because they're awful and terrible, pulled us into this war. No, they're on the front lines, and they were attacked, and we were the only country with the guts to step in and do something about it. Because it's not just Israel that's under attack. Israel's just the first country.
Thank you, Ryan Paul. Thank you, man. Appreciate
I
it.
could show you dozens of clips right now of Islamic preachers.
Thank you.
in
Appreciate it.
Arabic and English telling us exactly what they want to do, that they want to destroy the United States, destroy Western civilization, and turn us all into the Islamic.
Yep. Zach is here. Thank you, guys. Subscribe. Oh, wow. Thank you. Thank you. Let's get to 2,000 subs.
She is the reason that I have so much trouble voting for Democrats right now in this moment. She was supposed to be the adult in the room. She was supposed to be the experienced leader, and she's playing politics just like the rest of them.
Yeah. Let me see if that's his actual name. Unbothered Moderate. Unbothered. Let me see if that's moderate. Goodness gracious. There we go. Let's see if this is him. Okay, so maybe on TikTok, I guess. Unbothered Moderate on TikTok. Yeah, it looks like that's him. So shout out to Unbothered Moderate on TikTok. That is who you just watched there. His ad is at the bottom of the screen. I know it's probably a little hard to see. Yeah, you can't really see that one. Let me see if I can move that so y'all can see that a little bit better. You can kind of see it a little bit better there on the screen. Unbothered Moderate. Right there at the bottom, the very bottom of the screen there. All right? Shout out to him. And listen, if you're having trouble voting Democrat, vote Republican, brother. Join the good side.
Vote red, don't be misled.
The good side. Democrats don't stand for anything. Whatever they think is going to...
This is a video I did yesterday. Check it out.
...is best for more power and more control is what they're going to say. It's facts. It's exactly what they're going to say. And the proof is right here. The proof is right here. All of a sudden, it's popular to say F Israel and, that whole stuff. So now Kamala is all on board with basically saying that. Blaming Israel for everything. And hey, listen, maybe Israel is to blame for everything. But at the end of the day, if that's the only reason why you're jumping on it is because it's become popular now, I got a problem with it. You're fake. You're fake. That's not you. And I can prove it's not you because not long ago you were talking about how Iran went after Israel and that was a major problem and we needed to help Israel. But now you're talking about Israel being the issue? These people are fakes and phonies, man. We got a lot of fakes and phonies in D.C. And that's a fact. That is a fact. Everybody in the Democrat Party is a fake in D.C. Every single person. Every single one. They'll smile in your face. Oh, yeah, we love and care about you. And then completely open the border and flood the country with illegals and put their priorities and them first over us. We've seen that before. We've seen it. Right? It's crazy, man. But once again, I am happy that somebody else is calling this out because I've been saying this for a while. And once again, make sure you guys stay tuned because hold on, let me double check and make sure I still have that clip. Sometimes I be losing stuff, so I want to double check and make sure I have that clip of a bunch of Democrats saying that we need to go after Israel and the whole nine. Ooh, I am not seeing it. I know I had it. I'm going to have to find that clip. I'm going to find it. I am going to find it, and it will be uploaded as a YouTube short today or tomorrow, sometime soon. Sometime soon, because the American people need to see this type of stuff, how the Democrats are flip-flopping on literally everything. Whatever Trump says, it's bad. Whatever Trump...
The fact that Ilhan Omar has the audacity to tell someone that they are stupid for questioning her about her campaign and her personal finances when apparently she was stupid enough.
She works for the people. She works for us. So yeah, what's going on with your money finances? What's going on with the money finance? You work for us, damn it.
To tell the government she was worth $30 million when she's only worth $100K is diabolical. I know I can't tell the government I'm worth $30 million and then oopsies, it's only $100K and get away with it. So why can she? But I want y'all to see why this made me so angry. I want y'all to see the freaking elitism in this woman's demeanor and behavior, who's not even a natural born citizen of the United States of America, and how she talks to our investigative journalists who are Americans just trying to ask her simple questions.
Congresswoman Omar, the last time I spoke to you, you said that I was stupid for asking about your financial disclosure, but there's some discrepancies on there. Would you like to explain that? How did you make such a big mistake on it? So you are stupid for asking me anything. I am? Yes. Well, what about the American people who are wondering how you made such a big mistake? I have explained to the American people. What's the explanation? I have given them the explanation. Do you want to tell our viewers? Because I don't want to tell you jack shit. Oh, how about that?
Damn.
Okay. Have a good day. Thank you, Congressman.
You know, like Ilhan Omar is so comfortable saying you're too stupid. It's because she used to being around the Somalians all day. That's how they let her talk to them. She's used to the Somalian world over there in Minnesota, Minneapolis, wherever she's at. And they're okay with being stupid. You know what I'm saying? Being that they, allegedly, supposedly have a combined IQ of about 62, 63. But my problem is this, ma'am. You came to this country and you lived the American dream. But you managed to make everyone try to believe this country is so racist. It's just so white man centered, and there's no way to get ahead.
She married to a white man.
And all of a sudden, you went from being worth $30 million to $100K. The problem is you really think we're stupid because you've gotten away with this behavior for so long within your Somalian community and up there in Washington, D.C. and hiding behind the Democratic Party that you really do think that the bulk of the American people are stupid.
Whoa, what's going on, everybody? Appreciate you guys pulling up. Hey, it's getting real in the field for Representative Ilhan Omar. She just got caught red-handed. She revised a financial disclosure from $30 million. Think this, $30 million down to $100K. That's not a discrepancy. That's not a mistake there. You don't go from, we earned $30 million down to $100,000 or less. Some people say she's like $90K. Come on, man, stop it. Stop the shenanigans. We got to get into it, man, because people are on her head. Hit the like button, share the video, subscribe to the channel. Let's get into it.
Minnesota's 5th Congressional District. And we called together this press conference in the wake of yesterday's article in the Minnesota Reformer about my opponent, Representative Omar. She paid her husband, Tim Minette, $3 million of campaign money. And the way her time in office has given his business access and credibility as they've misappropriated more than $1 million.
Thank you.
South Dakota
Thank you, guys. 2,000 subs, let's get it. 2,000 subs, let's get it.
Funds frozen by the Office of Foreign Assets, control the U.S. Treasury Department in charge of enforcing sanctions. Unfortunately, this story is just the latest scandal in a string of new stories about Representative Omar that narrow the focus on her and bring us further from the type of progress our district and our country needs around issues that affect the lives of our neighbors. Representative Omar has used her time, her 3 terms.
Trump's still our president.
what many would consider the opportunity and honor of a lifetime to divide our community and enrich herself in the process.
Yeah, she definitely did that. I mean, to be honest with you, man, it's past time to go ahead and kick Ilhan Omar out of Congress. It's past time. I say deport her. But before we do that, there should be an arrest. If any of these allegations are true, she should be, arrested, indicted, and convicted and held to the highest standard of the law. Seriously, this is a person who has allowed others, allegedly, to commit fraud on the American people. I want to play this clip from the Breakfast Club because she talks about the people in her community, her district, who I would assume also fund her campaign coffers. I want you guys to listen to this, but she had no remorse, nothing to say about the money that had been taken from taxpayers.
I think it's now 230 million that has been.
Is it 250 is what they say.
Yeah.
Misuse funds meant for child nutrition.
Yeah, 230 to 250. There's been about 77 or so.
75 defendants.
Yeah, that have been indicted. Many of them have taken plea agreements.
That makes it. They got to make it hard for you, right? Just in general, not because you got anything to do with it.
Yeah.
But when he can point and say, "Well, this actually happened."
I mean, it doesn't make it hard for me. But it does make it hard for, the average Somali business owner.
There you go.
It makes it hard for the average immigrant business owner. It makes it hard for the average Black business owner because it does create this cloud of suspicion and obviously it's become very politicized.
Of course it's politicized. There are people from your community, your district, your country, your ethnicity that have stolen millions upon millions of dollars. She just nonchalantly said, it was 233. The number's actually $250 million. It's just nonchalantly, says that was the case. Yeah, these people have been convicted. A lot of them have received slaps on the wrist. These people are up there driving Lamborghinis in the snow. You can't make this stuff up, man. You can't. You cannot make this stuff up. And they have no remorse because that's who they are. They have no allegiance to our country. They have no allegiance to the United States at all. Their goal is to basically pillage everything that they can from us, send it back to their nation. So eventually, when they go back home, they can live high on the hog there. That's their goal. And as far as, this lady here, talking about, all the white man is bad, this, that, and the third. It's people like this that are a real danger in this country.
Tell us about your net worth dropping down to around 100,000. Can you just elaborate on what mistake was made, Congresswoman? What mistake was made on your financial disclosure forms to bring it down to 100,000 from up to 30 million? Just want to give you a chance to clear it up because people are wondering why it dropped so far down. Does your husband still have the consulting business worth about $8 million?
Crickets. And this is par for the course for Democrats, though. And to be honest with you, we could probably say the same thing about Republicans as well. But we're seeing this play out in real time. Same thing, with Ayanna Pressley and others out there. They get in office. They're not worth a whole lot of money. They don't have a lot of money when they get in there. In some shape, way, form, or fashion, after a term or two, these people can be worth millions upon millions of dollars and then get on TV with a straight face and say, we got to tax the rich. No, y'all aren't the rich. Y'all are wealthy. It's so crazy how this thing plays out, man. It is so crazy.
Headline about a certain congresswoman's not so stellar record of honesty and competence. Last year, Ilhan Omar's financial disclosure revealed skyrocketing wealth. It showed a whopping net worth of up to $30 million, a 3,500% increase in wealth compared to just 2 years prior. Now she's trying to convince the world that she's actually only worth
How you doing? Good morning.
Still quite a jump from 2 years ago.
I'm not full of shit. You don't know who I am. My name is Deunta. Welcome to the
Her
chat.
disclosure,
Like and subscribe.
Ms. Omar is saying the multi-million-dollar discrepancy was nothing more than an accounting error.
How do you have a 29,900,000 accounting error? Whoever that accountant is, they should be fired. They should have their license taken if you make that type of error.
Right. 34 felonies for Trump when the bank said they cool with Trump. But Ilhan, she can go ahead and falsify her records, $30 million to 1,000 to 100,000. Stop the BS, man. Once again, it's delusional and hypocrisy going on in the Democrat Party, you guys. What up, Brian? Thanks, Arnold. Man, you a blessing. Thank you, thank you.
In what world is a multi-billion-dollar correction to a person's financial disclosure considered normal? Perhaps this member's accountant, perhaps Ilhan's accountant, is a graduate from the
Subscribe.
Center. Either way, this about face shows incompetence at best and a cover-up at worst. But this is just the latest. And perhaps this member's accountant, perhaps Ilhan's accountant, is a graduate from the Quality Leering Center. Either way, this about face shows incompetence at best and a cover-up at worst. But this is just the latest in a long list of head-turning stories relating to this member from Minnesota. Ilhan cannot escape accountability much longer. Investigations are ongoing in House committees. The Trump administration has waged war on fraud. Her ties to convicted Feeding Our Future fraudsters are well documented. And her defense of these criminals who stole billions from hardworking taxpayers makes it very clear where her allegiance stands. Mm-hmm. Make no mistake, if Ilhan Omar is discovered to have been involved in any or to have benefited in any way from any fraud, she must be held accountable to the fullest extent. And by the way, that includes marriage fraud.
Shots fired. I want to hear from you guys in the comment section. What are your thoughts on any of this? Hey, y'all just saw Sheriff Phyllis out of Florida. She just resigned. She's been indicted. She's on her way. It's happening. She stole $5 million, allegedly. $5 million, allegedly. Ilhan Omar, she's next up on the chopping block. And there should definitely be, there should be a war against fraud in our country. We pay entirely too many taxes to have the money just pillaged and stolen from taxpayers. Give us our money back, man, or lower our taxes. Something. But I want to hear from you guys in the comment section. What are your thoughts on any of this? Hit the like button, share the video, subscribe to the channel, turn the notifications on to all so you never miss an upload. Consider joining the ARP family or
something absolutely extraordinary is happening in Virginia. And no, it's not what the Democrats think. Yes, they got their redistricting referendum passed barely by the skin of their teeth. But the Virginia electorate actually moved farther to the right yesterday than any Democrat imagined in their worst nightmares. And those nightmares got even worse because Trump.
Thank you guys for being in the chat. Really appreciate it. Like and subscribe. And yes, my channel, I'm showing you guys the truth. I'm not going to show you no BS, Roland Martin, or traders like Tucker Carlson or Candace Owens. I'm not going to show no trash. If I do it, just relate to something. But other than that, common sense channel here.
Has a move. A bold, historically grounded.
What up, Jornell? What up, bro? Good morning.
Legally serious move that could erase their entire scheme from the map. Literally. Make sure to stick them to the very end of this video because I'm going to walk you through exactly why Trump is on the verge of permanently ending the left's stranglehold over Virginia and why it might just work.
Good morning, everybody.
Good
morning.
Dr. Steve, your patron professor, here to help you make sense of the madness. The Virginia redistricting referendum did end up passing barely by less than 3%. 51.5% of Virginians voted yes. 48.5% voted no. Now, let's just start with the unbelievable significance of that. Just 6 months ago, in the 2025 Virginia elections, the gubernatorial elections, Democrats were riding sky high. Governor Abigail Spanberger won the governor's race by 15 points. Democrats swept the Virginia House of Delegates with their biggest majority since 1992. The media was declaring Virginia a permanently blue state.
Yeah, Zach like to troll. That's all. That's why he here. Because this channel is a conservative channel. But once again, everybody is welcome. I'm not here to push nobody to be a Trump supporter or whatever like that. I'm just showing what I like and showing that I got red pill and why I'm going to stay red pill. And only just that, America. I'm an American. 43 years old. Love America. I have a passport. I've been outside of America. Been in Mexico, Jamaica, other parts. America's the best.
And now, as of yesterday, that same Virginia electorate just swung more than 12 points to the right. 12 points. Look, to be fair, this is one of the reasons why the RNC didn't put any money in this race, right? You don't waste millions on a referendum in a plus 15 Democrat state. But as it turns out, Virginia is emphatically not a plus 15 Democrat state. It was a plus 5 for Kamala, but now the electorate ran even to the right of 2024. A plus 3 Democrat state is a challengeable, contested state. And God bless them. Patriots from all across Virginia came out in droves and nearly defeated the Democrats' signature ballot initiative. Rural voters in the Shenandoah Valley showed up. Working class voters in Virginia Beach showed up. Small business owners and farmers in the Piedmont showed up. And they voted no in massive numbers. The shift rightward from 2025 was absolutely staggering. And that fact alone, make no mistake, that fact alone is freaking out the Democrats right now, especially for the midterms. They think they got their 4-seat pickup in Virginia, but many are now realizing, yeah, but at what expense? If we saw a 12-point shift to the right in Virginia, what are we going to see across the entire map in a matter of months from now? Now, if you look at what made the difference, there's one county in particular that brought this referendum over the finish line, and that is Arlington. Arlington County, a 26 square mile urbanized county located across the Potomac River from D.C. It's very unique. It contains no separate incorporated towns or cities within its boundaries. You want to take a guess how Arlington voted yesterday on the redistricting referendum? 80% yes. 80%. Now, in fairness, it wasn't just Arlington. Alexandria, 78.9% yes. Falls Church, 80% yes. Northern Virginia, Nova, as a whole, swung 37 points toward yes relative to the rest of the state. And in a race decided by less than 3 points statewide, I mean, that's the ball game. But the key here is that Arlington didn't just tip the scales. Arlington was the scales. Arlington is the very heart of the deep state. It's the place where Washingtonians vote to send Washingtonians to Washington. And their population size, combined with the rest of Northern Virginia, has now permanently subjected farmers in rural Appalachia, workers in Roanoke, veterans in Chesapeake, to the deep state whims of the very same federal government workforce that already dominates the Washington bubble. And it's not just them, it's all of us. These are the people who get double representation. They live in Virginia, enjoying Virginia tax rates and Virginia governance, but they spend every workday pulling levers of federal power that shape the entire nation. And now they've used that power to gerrymander the rest of Virginia into oblivion. So these are the people who, in the name, the supposed name of democracy, I kid you not, in the name of saving democracy, these are the people who turned a +5 Democrat state in 2024 with a representational congressional delegation of 6 Democrats to 5 Republicans, which you would expect for a +5 Democrat state. They are now, again, in the name of democracy, changing that congressional representation into 10 Democrats and just 1 Republican. Again, and
teach you how to hate your country. Don't listen to them. All right. It's time for midterms. It's time to be honest with yourself. I know this is for your people that's in college. They're teaching you some really bad stuff right now. They're teaching you how to hate your country. Don't listen to them. Listen to God. Listen to God. Black folks, these Democrats want you to vote Democrat without getting nothing in return. Now they want to talk about some reparations. They fucking lied. They're not giving you no reparations. They gave you reparations to illegal immigrants. They're lying. The game is over. You're not black if you don't vote Democrat. Man, look, it's over. Let's be honest now. The Democratic Party is not for us. If you are against abortion, you shouldn't vote Democrat. If you are against boys and girls sports, you shouldn't vote Democrat. If you are against boys competing with girls, you should not vote Democrat. If you are against higher taxes, you should not vote Democrat. If you are against boys and women's spaces or girls' spaces, you should not vote Democrat. If you are against kids' sex changes, you should not vote Democrat. If you are against open borders, you should not vote Democrat. If you love America, you should not vote Democrat. They do nothing for America. Think about it. The only thing you heard was Trump. These grown people that we pay in Congress couldn't say nothing about a policy. The only thing they talked about was Trump. What are we paying them for? To talk about Trump? Or to make laws to make American lives better? They're not doing nothing for us. In fact, the only people you hear about is illegals. That's the only thing you're going to hear them fight for is illegal immigrants. We have to stand together as Americans and make the right decision. It's not about, oh, I hate Trump and all this. Stop doing that. Think about America first. They are trying to destroy America. And this is facts. Check it out. See what they're doing. They're not doing nothing to help America. And they're making it obvious when they refuse to stand up to show that they put American citizens over illegal immigrants. That should have been the last straw. Pay attention. They've shown you exactly who they are. Your family members, your leaders, they always told you, action speak louder than words, and their action showed what they feel. Midterms, let's keep Trump in office. The Cubans, Venezuelans, Iranians, come on now. Y'all see what type of leader we have. Y'all need to come together by droves and keep Trump in office. We need to vote red.
Like and subscribe. Let's get it. Let's get it.
Democrat plus 5 state, 10-1. And add insult to injury in a referendum that won by less than 3 points. But here's where the story gets absolutely mind-blowing. Donald Trump is reportedly considering an executive order that would literally change everything. It would stop this Democrat juggernaut dead in its tracks. And it would even restore Virginia to largely being a red state as it was historically. This is one of the boldest moves imaginable, and it's going to absolutely blow you away. While Trump unleashes a political reckoning, there is another crisis poisoning every American in some way, shape, or form, even in the comfort of our own homes. I'm talking about the microplastic epidemic. Now, you may have heard of an order that would declare Arlington County never legally left the District of Columbia in the first place. And this isn't some wild idea out of left field, as it were, or right field better, right? This is a serious legal argument that many have been making for decades now. It's being made by very serious legal scholars. And here's the history that you need to know. So back in 1790, Virginia ceded a parcel of land, the territory that would become Arlington, to the federal government to help form the new District of Columbia. Virginia's own agreement stated that this land was given for the, quote, permanent seat of the federal government. But then in 1847, under President James K. Polk, that same land was what was called retroceded back to Virginia. And why? You're not going to believe this. Because Virginia wanted to protect slavery in Northern Virginia after the district began moving toward abolition. So after D.C. started adopting abolition, Northern Virginia wanted to save slavery states as much as they could. So Virginia Democrats demanded Arlington be restored back to them, restored back to their state so it could be safe for slavery. I mean, you literally can't make this stuff up. Now, presidents as far back as Abraham Lincoln questioned the legality of that retrocession. President William Howard Taft openly called it unconstitutional. The Supreme Court has never been forced to definitively weigh in. And now Trump could direct the Department of Justice to do exactly that, to formally challenge the 1847 retrocession and restore Arlington and even Alexandria back to their rightful place inside the District of Columbia. And he would force that through an executive order rescinding the retrocession. And many are arguing that such an executive order would be on stronger legal footing than many of the auto pen era executive actions via Biden that sailed through without challenge. The constitutional text is clear. Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17 describes the seat of government as land ceded by particular states for a permanent purpose. If the secession was permanent, and the original Virginia agreement says it was, then how on earth can a state unilaterally take it back? Now, in the meantime, this redistricting referendum is facing its own court challenges, and they're certainly formidable. Bottom line, this referendum was blatantly illegal. And here's what most people don't know about it. A Tazewell County Circuit Court Judge, Jack Hurley, already ruled that this entire redistricting push was illegal. Judge Hurley found that Democrats failed to follow Virginia's own constitutional rules for amending the state constitution, which required that any amendment pass in 2 separate legislative sessions with an intervening election. Now, the Virginia Supreme Court allowed the referendum to proceed, but critically, the court explicitly stated that its ruling did not resolve the underlying legal questions. They just allowed the referendum to go on. The highest court in Virginia is still sitting on this case, and if it agrees with Judge Hurley, again, Tuesday's vote becomes entirely moot. Meanwhile, the Republican National Committee, the Virginia GOP, and individual Virginia voters have filed separate lawsuits arguing the new maps violate Virginia's own constitution, which explicitly requires electoral districts to be drawn contiguously and compactly, not these gerrymandered Frankenstein districts that we're now going to be seeing throughout the state. Jason Sneed, executive director
Exactly.
of the Honest
Got you in the
Elections
chat,
Project,
man. You say I'm full
he
of
says
shit.
that he
Appreciate
believes
it.
that the litigation is going to move at lightning speed given how close the midterm primaries are. And many believe, given how close this referendum was, that the Virginia Supreme Court is going to strike.
Iran just challenged Trump's blockade. Look at this, another tanker.
Intercepted, boarded, and seized by the U.S. Navy. The Tiffany was sitting low in the water, carrying 1.9 million barrels of crude that she loaded in Karg Island. She was moving east to China to deliver that oil when the War Department says U.S. forces conducted a right of visit, maritime interdiction, and boarding to disrupt illicit networks providing material support to Iran.
And look at this. The vice president is not going to be attending any peace talks because Iran has now been completely taken over by its generals.
According to reports, Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard is now consolidating power inside of Iran. In other words, the hardline radicals who have terrorized the world for decades are likely running the show. The guys with guns, not the guys in the suits that'll be in Pakistan. If we were to be very blunt and very, very honest, General, the easier path for the president would be to wipe them out, obliterate them, hit all those targets, But the reality is the president really deep down does not want to do that to the Iranian people.
Right.
I applaud him for that. And he's going the extra mile. However, when there's a report out tonight, the Iranian, our parliamentary speaker, saying that they have new cards to play against the U.S.
Yeah, they're threatening.
I'm less optimistic than I was over the weekend.
Yeah, sure. Well, you have cause to be, Sean, to be frank. I think what we're witnessing right before our eyes is a power struggle inside of Iran. And yes, Galibov, while he was a general in the IRGC at one point, right along with Vahidi, who is now the head, and I think they are really at odds. We have talked to Galibov in the past, and so we know for a fact that he is willing to make some compromises on the deal.
But there's some people in this regime who don't want that. And what you have right now is you have a group that wants to negotiate, and then you have this other group that doesn't want to negotiate at all. They've got some weapons. Now they say they're in charge. Now they say they're going to threaten America.
It took a single post from Iran's foreign minister to expose internal divisions within the Islamic Republic.
Oh, yeah, they're collapsing.
On Friday, hours after the U.S. president announced a ceasefire deal between Israel and Lebanon, Abbas Araghchi said the Strait of Hormuz was completely open for commercial vessels.
Yeah, he said it was open.
During the course of the war, the vital waterway has been
And then
choked
they
off
closed
by
it.
Iran to inflict pain on the global economy. Donald Trump welcomed Araghchi's announcement, but the news was short-lived. On Saturday, state television read a statement from the spokesperson of the Revolutionary Guard Corps saying the strait was back under Iranian control as a U.S. blockade of the Strait of Hormuz remained in effect.
For this reason, control of the Strait of Hormuz has returned to its previous state, and this strategic strait is under strict management and control of the armed forces.
So it's like whoever can get in front of a microphone in this country and get on TV is just saying whatever they want, hoping that that becomes the narrative for the entire country. This really goes to show you that regardless of what these people are saying, this regime is in its final moments.
Got a little cute as they have been doing for 47 years. Nobody ever took them on. We took them on. They have no Navy. They have no Air Force. They have no leaders. They have no nothing. Actually, their leaders are, it is regime change.
Yeah.
You call that enforced regime change. But we're talking to them. They wanted to close up the strait again, as they've been doing for years. And they can't blackmail us.
The Iranians even tested the U.S. Navy. We confronted a blockade runner in the Arabian Sea. After a warning shot, we fired on it.
Oh, yeah, they disabled this ship.
Go to Vesatoska. Vacate your engine.
This is the ship that had stuff on it from China, apparently.
We're prepared to subject you to disabling fire.
They still didn't listen. So our guided missile destroyer, the USS France, blew a hole in her engine room, stopped her cold. Marines choppered in, rappelled onto the deck, and took her over.
Now, look, when you're watching this stuff and you hear from people out there that say, oh, Trump has no plan, the United States has lost control, America doesn't know what it's doing, who do you really think it is that doesn't know what it's doing? These guys, these Iranians, they can't get through the blockade, they can't sail any of their ships, they can't make any money with China, and all their weapons that are coming in or going out, all that stuff's getting confiscated along with the sanctioned oil.
The president says we have full custody and are seeing what's on board. It's an Iranian cargo ship called the Tuska, almost 1,000 feet long and weighs as much as an aircraft carrier. And it's been under U.S. and European sanctions. It was up to no good. The Tuska was traveling from China. The Washington Post
bringing in the weapons.
Says it was loaded with dual-use chemicals used to manufacture ballistic missiles. Beijing just got caught doing us dirty. And Trump will make them pay.
Yeah.
The U.S. Navy's already turned around 27 ships. We only had to light up one runner.
Yeah, see, this blockade for Iran is the end.
Iranian port will be enforced and applies to all vessels regardless of flag.
They thought they were going to blockade this strait. And they said that they were. They said, we're going to close it down. And what their plan was they close it and then only let in traffic friendly to them. But then the U.S. came along and said, nope, we're closing it. And now you're trapped in your own blockade. That's what Trump did. And now these guys don't know what they're doing.
The president says he's maintaining the blockade until the mullahs sign the deal. guided missile destroyers have Iran in a chokehold. Carrying a fleet of Seahawk helicopters is the USS Pinckney, named after a highly decorated black World War II naval officer. The USS Rushmore, a dock landing ship, is also on blockade duty. Sailors on board have been testing out some new toys. Our Apaches are also flying fast and low over Hormuz, on patrol and ready for action.
Yeah, these guys can't get away with anything.
Deploying mine-hunting robots, basically sea drones that scan the bottom of the strait, unmanned submarines, knife and kingfish drones conducting surveillance deep underwater. Once they locate a mine, they fall back, and a second wave of sea robots come in and blow them up. U.S. company Sail Drone is putting the finishing touches on a James Bond-style submarine hunter. Look at that.
So this whole part of the world is under U.S. control. There's nothing Iran can do. So this idea...
Hey, chat, Pappy, how you want to call it? He worry about the Epstein files. Y'all need to check his hard drive. Because he probably goes to everybody's chat and probably say the same thing, Trump-Stein files. If you're a conservative Republican, I'm pretty sure he goes to everybody's page saying the same dumbass shit. Check these people's hard drive. They sort about the goddamn pedophiles. They got to be one themselves. Other than that, this ain't that on this chat.
Idea that they have new cards, that they're going to launch some new attack, it's blustering. It's just this hope on their end that they're going to get on TV and rally everyone around them. We've got several factions that could take over this country, or at least that are trying to.
The statement from Iran's Revolutionary Guards were echoed by the Speaker of Iran's parliament, Mohammad Khalibaf, who led the first round of negotiations with the U.S. in Islamabad.
Zach, check your hard drive too, man. Check your hard drive on the real. Y'all about these Epstein files. The ones keep talking about it. There's something about y'all. Says something about y'all for real.
Said the future of the Strait of Hormuz would not be determined on social media.
And here he is posting
Since the war
about
began, the U.S. and Israel have taken out much of the regime's top leadership. The former Ayatollah's son has been named his successor, but Mujtaba Khamenei has remained out of the public eye, and doubts remain on his condition.
And nobody
As
asks about my
negotiations with the
hard
U.S.
drive.
continue, Iran's president has been reduced to a figurehead, and there's little doubt the IRGC is calling the shots. However, the Revolutionary Guards aren't a homogenous unit with rival factions within it, jostling for control.
So we have various strong men who are the ones trying to grab the steering wheel of this regime, so to speak. And it's going to come down to whoever's got the most guns and the most people on their side who gains control for what? Another couple of days until the bridges and power plants get hit? Hopefully it doesn't happen, but it could.
And this power struggle is going on. And what will be the resolution of it? There's a couple of paths here.
Yep.
One, take President Trump serious. That if you don't come to the negotiating table and the ceasefire ends, by the way, it's Wednesday, not Tuesday it ends.
Okay.
And if it ends on Wednesday,
so tomorrow,
he promises to go back to full combat operations. But so our audience understands, we have twice the capability on the U.S. side in the theater now than when we started the war.
Right. So we've been moving assets over here. More carriers, more troops. We are more ready now for what happens next than we were when this whole thing started, which was already way too much for Iran's military. They should make a deal, and they should take the president serious. We just had conflict. Why do we need more conflict? These people, it's like they would rather have power for a finite amount of time that has a definite end, which is apparently tomorrow, than give up.
They have never given up bringing in additional assets to assist with the execution of our wartime objectives. The Israelis, who had some ammunition shortages, have full magazine depth now. So if we go back to combat operations, they are going to be absolutely full throttle and considerably more dramatic than anything the Iranians have experienced, to include all the targets the president's talking about. And then
that's crazy, man.
But Vahidi, listen, hardliners here. Vahidi has a couple of choices here. One, okay, work it out with Galibov, and let's not test the president.
These are the rivals.
Let's go to the negotiations, but put some strict controls on Galibov in those negotiations. Or, and they're capable of this, Sean, test the president, and accept going back to combat operations.
Which would be a disaster. We know what that's going to mean. It means the regime power plants, the regime architecture of this country that powers it, that they are using to wage this campaign, to fire missiles that they build themselves at countries that aren't even involved in this while persecuting their own people. It's terrible. It's a terrible situation. And some people have said since this conflict started that the only way to truly make sure that this regime was powerless was to go all the way. We're going to see if they push the president that far.
Because in the end, where they are, they believe that the president will not go completely to the end of it. The pressure on him politically and economically will force him to end it prematurely.
This is what they think.
And they'll still be standing. And they'll have leverage as a result of it. And no negotiations taking place at
They think
all
America's going to lose.
is what he is possibly thinking. And I'm trying to put my head inside a bona fide hardliner who was the guy that was in charge of the Quds Force. And guess who he gave that job over to? Qasem Soleimani.
Oh.
So this is the ilk of what we're dealing with here. I just wanted our viewers to understand some of the thought processes that may be going on here, and even the extreme that I'm mentioning, and why wouldn't they accept what's plausible and also reasonable?
So what the general is saying is that people in this regime, they are these hardliners, these people that just do not think clearly. They don't understand that President Trump's not playing games. They think to themselves that the president's under a lot of pressure economically. They think that the president is under all of this pressure from other nations that are telling him what to do, and he's going to lose support at home, and he's going to destroy the U.S. economy. If they really think that, they might think that doing everything they can to delay and to have a deal and then no deal and to play all of these games, they might actually think that's working, when the reality is they're just creating a situation, a massive trap for themselves that they cannot get out of. And they're going to wake up and find out that there's no more bridges, there's no more power plants. This is going to happen to them suddenly because they don't believe that the president is serious when he says he's serious.
And we got long time history with how unreasonable they absolutely are, and they don't care about their people. They care
47
about what?
years.
Personal survival, the regime surviving. That is it.
Yep.
And they don't care about what's best for their people. And if we're going to pound Iran, and we would, to seriously force an economic collapse, that's what would be on the horizon. It would be less about their weapons and more about their future, for sure, here in terms of their viability economically. In Vahedi's mind, if he survives that, he wins. Now, that is diabolical thinking for sure. But that is part of the rationale we have been dealing with these people for a long time, Sean.
So they think that if they can make it through whatever onslaught happens and still be on the throne, so to speak, still be in front of the microphone, that they get to maintain their power, and that's the only thing they want. And like the general just said, this is diabolical thinking. This is not rational. This is not logical. This is not a path of peace. This is not how somebody who is defensive and want what's best for the people they represent. This is not a representative government either. Just because they have a president doesn't mean this isn't anything other than a radical dictatorship.
14 bunker buster bombs. That war ended in 12 days. That was phase one, Midnight Hammer. I'm trying to understand, after all that President Trump has done here and all the damage he's
it doesn't make sense.
How they could doubt in any way, shape, manner, or form his resolve to do it the hard way if he has to. And I want your reaction to that. And what about this warning about we have new cards to play? I take that as typical, quintessential propaganda and bluster. Your thoughts?
That's what I think. We'll see.
Yeah, well, we know our president, and you would think the Iranians by now would know him as well. He has a tendency to follow through here. And that's the reality of it. So he's promising something that be much more significant and dramatic impact on them than what we have been doing today. And I think he will absolutely deliver on that. He's also making a point, and certainly we understand this, that in our negotiations, while he's willing to talk, he's not going to put up with a bad deal.
Right. There's not going to be a deal at the other end of this that allows them to continue pursuing long-range missiles and nuclear weapons. That's going to be unacceptable. And there's all this talk that, Trump keeps terms, Trump's being inconsistent. He said from day one, no nuclear weapon. And he said a whole bunch of times that is the one thing that cannot come out of this is them having that. And the reason the last peace talks fell apart was because that was the thing that they didn't want to agree to. They said, yeah, we'll agree to everything else, but we're going to keep working on our nukes.
That is a fact, because he understands and knows what a bad deal looked like. He walked away from one, as we all know, in 2018, 3 years into Obama's bad deal.
Yeah.
So are they making assessments of the president? Of course they are. But they also, I think, where Vahedi's coming from, he believes there's significant pressure on the president. And it may be worth his while to try to accept whatever the president wants to give him. I think that is absolutely reckless thinking.
Yeah.
And he's not being rational. But I'm just trying to paint a picture here of what can be going on. Hopefully, the best answer for the Iranians would be is whatever this debate is about, resolve it and get some negotiators in to sit down at the table with our negotiators and see if something can be worked out here.
Now, let's ask ourselves for a second, what would give the Iranian leadership, these hardliners, the idea that Trump is losing? Would it be articles like this on MS Now that Trump's presidency faces mounting pressure? If you really believe Trump's an idiot and you've got Trump derangement syndrome and you'll believe whatever you hear that makes it sound like he's losing or he's about to be dethroned, could that be governing the decisions of this regime? Is this why they don't want to negotiate? Why wouldn't you try to drag this out? Why wouldn't you have peace talks that fail? Why wouldn't you keep agreeing to things and then, oh, we'll close the strait, we'll open it, playing all these stupid little games? If you think this is really happening, if you think Trump is going against the experts and everybody knows it's just a matter of time
Thank
before
you,
Trump
guys.
is
Thank
closed,
you.
why wouldn't you just wait and try to drag this process out?
Let's get to 2,000 subs. Let's get it. Let's get it.
That's what the general says.
Tripled the Iranian nuclear program, and attacks have left their nuclear facilities in ruins, quote unquote, and their uranium remains buried deep under mountains of rubble. But after imploding their nuke sites, we caught the Iranians rushing to fortify Pickaxe Mountain in tunnels 2,000 feet deeper than Fordell.
Yeah, they think they can
impervious
rebuild.
to bunker busters. That piece of intelligence is what convinced President Trump that the regime wasn't abandoning their nuclear program, so he launched Operation Epic Fury. The president knows that strikes won't be enough. That means the U.S. military is going to have to either go in under enemy fire and go deep and deal with the uranium, or we do a deal and go down deep with the enemy and deal with it. This is tough stuff. The president's acknowledged the chance of casualties, but would much rather do a deal. We've done it before. In the 90s, the U.S. military conducted a secret extraction in Kazakhstan. We don't want to do this in hostile territory. But if we have to, the commander-in-chief has options. What we're not going to do is sign a weak treaty like Obama and take Iran's word for it.
But that's what Iran's hoping for. If they truly believe the headlines that say Trump is just seconds away from being removed as president and losing all of his support, if they can hold out for another couple days, that might appear to be a viable course of action, which they think is going to help them succeed. And you very well may have negotiators on their side.
At 0600 local time, the captain of a VLCC, very large crude carrier, called the Fortuna orders engines a head standard. 330 meters of double-hulled steel pushing southeast through the Persian Gulf. Routine departure. At least it would be if the world's most important oil choke point wasn't shut down by a country that just lost a war and decided to win anyway. Unknown to the bridge crew, an IRGC Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps monitoring station on Qasem Island has been tracking the ship since she loaded. The Pacific Fortuna has 90 nautical miles of Iranian coastline between her and open water. No weapons aboard, no escort. She's about to enter it. From this point, the math is simple and unforgiving. 90 nautical miles of Iranian coastline and 15 knots. 6 hours until
Thanks,
open
bro.
water.
Appreciate
and
that.
every single
Thank
mile
you.
of it is under Iranian guns. The ship pushes into the shipping lanes, officially called the Traffic Separation Scheme, which sounds like something your HOA would send a passive-aggressive letter about, until you realize it's the only thing keeping two streams of oncoming traffic from hitting each other head-on. If you look here at the navigational chart, this is why the Strait of Hormuz keeps energy executives awake at night. The whole thing is 21 miles across at the narrowest point, but ships don't get to use all of it. All traffic gets squeezed into 2 lanes, each one only 2 miles wide with a 2-mile gap between them. Inbound on one side, outbound on the other. The whole corridor is barely 6 miles across. Imagine driving a 3 football field long truck through a 2-lane tunnel with no shoulder and no exits. The truck needs 15 minutes to brake and is hauling flammable liquid. That's a VLCC transit through Hormuz on a good day. This is not a good day. The tanker drives deeper into the Narrows, and the Iranian coastline begins dominating the view to starboard. If you look here
What up,
at
Mark?
what the crew is looking at, the geography tells you everything you need to know.
Good afternoon.
Iran doesn't guard the door to the Persian Gulf. Iran is the door, both walls, ceiling, and floor. Qasem Island you see here alone stretches 120 kilometers parallel to the narrowest section, and the islands of Larak, Hormuz, and the disputed Abu Musa sit directly in the shipping lanes, each one with
Yeah, all is well.
an IRGC garrison, radar stations, and coastal weapons. Before the crisis, roughly 15 million barrels of crude moved through here daily, 20% of the world's seaborne oil. Right now, that number is 0 if your flag is friendly to the Americans, and 47 tankers sit at anchor in the Gulf of Oman because nobody wants to drive through what the strait has become. The Pacific Fortuna is about to sail past every one of them going the wrong direction. The maritime equivalent of driving the wrong way through a border crossing at midnight in reverse with every light on the car lit up. And the guy in the booth already has his hand on the radio. And here's the part that makes Iran's job insultingly easy. The small antenna on the Pacific Fortuna's mast is her AIS transponder, automatic identification system. Every commercial ship in the world has to keep it running. International law requires it, which means every few seconds the Pacific Fortuna is broadcasting her exact position, speed, heading, and cargo on a frequency anyone can listen to. The whole point is collision avoidance, keeping ships from running into each other. But it also means that anyone with a $200 receiver, including every IRGC monitoring station on the Iranian coast, can track every vessel in the strait in real time without lifting a finger. The Pacific Fortuna is required by law to announce her own approach to the enemy. She's sending them a text message every few seconds. It's like sharing your location with your ex-wife, except your ex-wife doesn't have anti-ship missiles. At least you hope not. The bridge crew picks up chatter on the VHF radio, voices in Farsi, IRGC Navy identifiers. Somebody is clearly discussing the Pacific Fortuna. Then the radio goes silent, and the first mate stares at the speaker like it just made a threat. He's not wrong. The lookout sees it first. Dark object bearing 010, 400 meters ahead, riding low in the outbound lane. Could it be a plastic drum off a fishing boat? Could be something far worse. From the bridge of a ship riding 20 meters above the waterline, you can't tell the difference, and you won't know which one it is until it's far too late. The captain reaches for the helm order and stops. He can't turn. Here's where the math gets ugly. The Pacific Fortuna carries 300,000 tons of ship and cargo. At 15 knots, her stopping distance runs 4 to 8 kilometers. That's 15 minutes of forward momentum before she comes to rest. Her turning cycle spans 4 kilometers, but the lane is only 2 miles wide. She can't swerve without crossing onto oncoming traffic or Iranian waters. Steering this ship is like steering a whole parking garage at highway speed. You don't dodge. You hold your heading and accept whatever sits in front of you, because by the time you see it,
This is about an hour ago.
Because it would suggest then that people are doubling down. Global reset has a lot to do with China. I mean, it could really signal some tough times ahead for China, because it would suggest then that people are doubling down on the US of A and King Dollar. Because when the UAE is asking for help and a lifeline, they're not asking for yuan, they're asking for dollars. And the US would be the backstop in that case. And when the US is the backstop, that means they're actually somewhat beholden to us. I mean, of course, we're sort of the backstop for Europe too, so you'd think Europe would be beholden to us, but Europe is constantly telling us to go F ourselves. So, in other words, who needs friends? Or rather, who needs enemies when you've got friends like Europe? So things are starting to shift. And why is this significant on the global stage? Because it actually would matter for China. China does not want more people coming into the dollar system. The dollar system, which has been obviously around for quite some time, you can go all the way back to World War II and the aftermath of World War II and the Bretton Woods Agreement. I like talking about that, from New Hampshire, way up in Bretton Woods, New Hampshire, tiny little town. I'm going to talk about this actually coming up because we've got Dr. Kirk Elliott on the program today, and I want him to get into this because there are some real reasons to be thinking about King Dollar right now. But after Bretton Woods, we effectively became the dominant currency for the world, and that's when we became the world's hegemonic power. Why did that happen? Well, we had like 70% of the world's gold reserves, and you couldn't be trading in all these different currencies. You just kind of had to pick one. So we went with the U.S., and it went well for a while, but in the last few decades, things have gotten a little bit rocky. And the Chinese have said, well, hey, why do they get to always be king of the world? And the Russians have said this, and the Iranians have said this, and so they're all looking for some other system. But because of what's going on right now, and because of Donald Trump, the system we have is getting doubled down on in a big, giant way. So when you think about this tanker, right, or rather this it's a cargo ship named Tosca. For opera fans out there, you'll remember the name of the ship because Tosca is a famous Puccini opera, Tosca being the main character. Anyway, the Tosca ship was fired upon by us because it was trying to go right through our blockade and it was trying to enter the Iranian ports. Now, this matters because there were apparently some things on that ship that they were trying to get into Iran. They had made some stops in China and picked up some of this cargo, and that would have been problematic. And it makes you question what China's really doing in all of this, because I know they're saying one thing, but are they doing another? Let's go to the video footage released by the Pentagon yesterday. And you have an accompanying Truth Social post.
Motor Vessel Tosca, vacate your engine room. Vacate your engine room. We're prepared to subject you to disabling fire.
There we go. So this is what the president sent out. Again, this was released by the Pentagon, and this matters. It caught my attention because I thought, why would a ship be trying to go through our blockade? I mean, how dumb can you be, right? Why would they do that? And where was this ship coming from? Turns out it was coming from China. It went to a whole bunch of ports in China. And apparently, it loaded up on a whole lot of things that could be used for commercial use, military use, personal use. But some of those things include chemicals that would be important for ballistic weapons. So again, why would China do something like that? I mean, I'm going to be really clear and just let you know that neither side, neither the US nor China has said this is in fact what was going on. Rather, we're relying on other media reports to let us know about the chemical materials that were coming from China that could be used in the production of ballistic missiles. So everybody's denying everything, but we're on board there. And we're now getting reports that there are these chemical materials and they picked them all up in China. And this is what they were trying to race through our blockade with. Again, not smart. And so China may say, oh, we're not doing anything. We're just going to look the other way and pretend like it didn't happen. But don't forget, this was a ship that had been stopping in these Chinese ports. So it's coming from China and it's trying to go to Iran. So you put 2 and 2 together. I get 4, all right? And what 4 means in this case is China is trying to be a you-know-what disturber. And China wants this war to go on and on and on. And China does not want all of the Middle East gravitating to the US of A and dollars. because that would then reinforce the United States' power and influence over the rest of the world. And what has China been, not even aggressively, I should say, I mean aggressively, but sort of quietly, silently, via influence campaigns, tried to do over the years? Undermine that. I mean, what do you think Neville Singman and his wife, right, the Joni Evans, I keep thinking she's like a 70s singer, folk singer. She's got her Code Pink. I mean, they're getting allegedly a lot of funding from China, and Neville Singman is the guy who was apparently the money behind those Minneapolis protests. So again, you just add these things together, and what you start to figure out is that China has embarked on a very aggressive campaign under the radar to try and, one, have us all hate each other, which they, by the way, they've been very successful at doing. I mean, not so much on the right, but certainly on the left. The left is just like primed and ready to hate on everyone. And then they've got Europe to the point where Europe is now no longer Europe, right? And just a disaster of a welfare state. Again, I'm not saying that they did this. I think Europe did it to itself. Let's be very, very clear. But I think that the influence campaigns have mattered and have actually affected the outcomes of the political destinies in these places. And you've got to think about it even vis-a-vis some of our politicians here and the soft money or the soft influence that's coming in. We don't entirely know. Think about how they can't confirm that all the money that went to Kamala Harris was actually domestic money. That's a big revelation that's come out, and the DOJ is investigating it. But if that's the case, then you have to, I guess, just ask yourself how much of this is a foreign influence campaign, and be smart about it here, especially in light of people that are just sort of talking a very different book. Look at Iran's president. He's saying, okay, you know what, we can't have any kind of meaningful dialogue because you didn't let that ship from China come in. Better believe we're not going to let a ship from China with chemicals on board that could be used to make ballistic missiles come in. No, that's not happening. Like, what part of the blockade did you not understand? But this gives them time, right? They're buying time, and China's getting what it wants in that sense because it wants this instability. And Donald Trump has just threatened China effectively with creating a more stable world for the United States of America. And the world wants it, which is why the UAE is coming to us hat in hand, which is why Kuwait and even Qatar and all of them, they're like, okay, what do you want us to do? We want a safer place. And
welcome to the chat. Welcome to the chat.
Forget about China.
Hey everybody, it's Wednesday, April 22nd, and the biggest breaking development right now is that President Trump and the U.S. administration announced an indefinite extension of the fragile ceasefire with Iran, citing a seriously fractured government and a request from Pakistani mediators to give Iran time to come up with a unified proposal. The government likely in tatters at this point, and the administration said that they would wrap up discussions one way or another using force if needed, but the blockade right now is likely doing a lot more damage to the regime than even the bombs did, maybe just the same amount of damage. Check this out. This is coming in from President Trump on Truth Social, and I think it shows us that there's maybe some collapsing happening in the regime itself, or there will be here soon. He said Iran is collapsing financially. They want the Strait of Hormuz opened immediately, starving for cash, losing $500 million a day, military and police complaining that they are not getting paid, SOS. So if you've been following the channel for a while, we've talked about how this blockade could begin to make the mullahs at the top of the Iranian regime a little nervous. They're all high and mighty, while $500 million a day is flowing into their bank accounts. But when you put that into a big goose egg, now they might start to get a little nervous as they see zero flowing into their bank. It's your fault. No, it's your fault. But this has been crystal clear from the U.S. government and U.S. military so far that without a deal, the U.S. is ready to kick back off the conflict if needed. But it looks like this could be squeezing the IRGC, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, in a way that might mean more to them. Again, they want power. They're basically mafia bosses. What does the mafia want? They want a lot of money and they want a lot of power. So drying up that money will eventually start to reduce their influence. And now the IRGC is screaming. They are in full panic mode. Their rhetoric has never been higher, and they've seized 2 ships in the Strait of Hormuz, cargo ships, mind you, and now they're saying that they are in full control of the Strait of Hormuz. But you can see these are desperate actions from desperate people. And the official state media of Iran called the extension a ploy to buy time for a surprise U.S. attack and straight up deception. Ghalibaf declared this means nothing and said the ongoing blockade is no different from bombardment. So you can see how much that means to them. Cutting off the flow of money is just the same as bombardment to them. So they're trying to be defiant and spout rhetoric, but they're actually showing us where their weak spots are. They're showing us where the chinks in the armor are. Weird. It's very ironic when things come full circle for these terrorist regimes, right? They've been propping up the Houthi rebels and the pirates in Somalia.
Thank you. Almost at 1,900 subs. Almost there. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Seized a vessel today. But it is interesting when you start to pressure mafia bosses, just like we saw in the United States in the 30s, the 40s, when the U.S. federal government started to really put pressure on the mafia bosses, they started freaking out, spouting rhetoric, trying to use the legal system against the federal government. That didn't go very well for them. But they said that the U.S. is disrupting order and safety in the Strait of Hormuz, and that's our red line. Oh, yeah. The U.S. is the one disrupting safety in the Strait of Hormuz.
Crazy.
Meanwhile, you just
Thank you.
and it looks
Man,
like
thank you, guys. I got to show it again. Thank you.
ships today, and then you escorted them to your ports. And speaking of that, let's pop to the map and let's look at where the port was that likely these ships have been taken to, the basically last bastion stronghold of the IRGC Navy. And then let's pop to X for some latest breaking updates. Welcome to the map, my friends.
Thank you, Arnold. Thank you for the super chat, Arnold. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Likely took these 2 seized oil tankers. So this is the suspected, supposed Iranian minefield that pushes all the ships up towards the actual coastline of Iran. Weird, yeah, weird that it's not continuously across the Strait of Hormuz. It's just in a place that pushes everything right near where they are said to be trying to intercept ships. Yeah, I'm sure it's just a coincidence. And this is likely the port. It's not confirmed yet, but it's likely the port where these 2 oil tankers were taken. This is Bandar Abbas port. It's one of their main ports near the Strait of Hormuz. So let's take a peek and just see kind of what is around here. A lot of naval presence here. That's one of their main focuses. We know there's been strikes here as well. So IRGC
thank you, Jigga.
Was struck.
Journal, thank you.
Was struck. So that bad boy is right there underneath the ocean. We know that this port is used
Thank you.
use. It's used for commerce, and it's also a main naval site. So as you can see, lots of different naval presence here. So whatever remnants they have of their fast attack craft, it's going to be likely here is going to be a lot of them. And I'll show you why. If you look at the different shipyards, the naval docks that they have, you can see all these different fast attack craft. So some of these that survive the strikes, I mean, hiding them in certain warehouses is likely one of their strategies. But you can see just lots of different fast attack craft. And this is exactly how, in my opinion, they're able to seize these ships, because they don't have a main naval presence anymore, but they've likely got hundreds of these fast attack craft that they've kept hidden. And when it comes to these unarmed tankers,
good afternoon, Amanda. Good afternoon.
Fast attack boats, maybe 2, to interdict and then intercept and then threaten and harass the boat and then seize it. So that is the main strategy there. So you can see fast attack craft. The thing about this port that's different than a lot of the ports is the boats here actually look like they're built for speed. They're not built for comfort. They're built for speed. You can see they're a little bit faster than some of the fishing boats, some of the bass boats we've seen in some of the other imagery. And then these have likely gone bye-bye as well, some of their main naval vessels. And then this is a Soleimani class. This is actually a vessel here. Soleimani class, it said that helicopters can land on it. It said it can be a drone mothership. Those went bye-bye as well. So I wouldn't expect any of these main larger naval assets to be in use anymore. Again, this is likely the area they took it to just because of how massive the shipyard is. Look at this. We've got submarines up here. We don't know if all of these have been taken out. I know some of them have been struck. We saw some of that image from Sitcom showing that a lot have been struck. And then here's a larger submarine. Look at this thing. This thing's up in the dry docks getting worked on. So very interesting to see this main naval yard, likely the last bastion, the last stronghold of their fast attack craft. And then here we are on U.S. Central Command's page, and check this out. This is a sweet hype video. They just released this 14 hours ago. Let's check it out. We're
rearming. We're retooling and we're adjusting our tactics, techniques, and procedures. There's no military in the world that adjusts like we do, and that's exactly what we're doing right now during the ceasefire. To ensure their voices are heard. Tomorrow I will be at the Bundestag with elected officials across the German political spectrum, speak to members of the press, and meet with the Iranian diaspora. So basically reassuring the free Iranian people, hey, we haven't forgotten about you. And if we remember, in Berlin, there were hundreds of thousands of people protesting against the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps prior to the conflict kicking off, calling for regime change. They were calling, the people of Germany were calling for regime change. So good on them for standing up to evil. The people of Berlin are obviously on the side of the free Iranian people. The leaders, yeah, we got to work on those leaders a little bit. And then I thought this was cool. A KC-135 Stratotanker refuels a U.S. Navy P-8 Poseidon during the U.S. blockade against ships entering or exiting Iranian ports. The P-8 can provide surveillance for extended periods, scanning vast waterways from high altitude. And then since the start of the blockade against ships entering or exiting Iranian ports, U.S. forces have directed 28 vessels to turn around or return to port. And we know that they struck one in the engine room. So 2 of the ships were actually taken and seized, but now we're getting reports that a 3rd vessel, reported as being named the Euphoria, took enough damage that it's now disabled and stranded off of the coast of Iran, and they can't do anything with it. They can't actually get it to the port. But both of the other vessels are large container ships. They were likely carrying standard mixed commercial container cargo, consumer goods, electronics, machinery, auto parts, chemicals, industrial products typical for routes through the Gulf and Indian Ocean. Iranian state media and Revolutionary Guard tried to spin it as routine enforcement, reporting that the vessels allegedly operated without authorization and endangered maritime security. They're saying those vessels endangered maritime security. Meanwhile, they disabled a vessel and now it's floating aimlessly in a very unsafe condition, potentially, off the coast of Iran. They also said that these 2 vessels, they tossed out, the MSC Francesca, has links to the Zionist regime, but bottom line, this wasn't some random patrol. It was a deliberate show of force right after the ceasefire extension announcement for them to beat their chests and say, look, we're still in control of the Strait of Hormuz and we're doing whatever we want with it. That's their whole goal with this entire announcement. But now the U.S., with the blockade and air assets, is showing up to deliver a relentless pounding in all the right spots. But this pressure is real and likely mounting on both sides. Tensions are high. U.S. platforms are positioned to handle whatever comes next. We saw that CENTCOM hype video where they're saying they're prepared, locked and loaded, ready to go. So this American hardware, we could be seeing it play out, and the next few moves that happen from Iran could determine how this conflict goes. Because on the U.S. side, we know we've got the Arleigh Burke-class destroyers. Those are the backbone of the surface fleet for the U.S. Navy. They're versatile, heavy armed, and capable of projecting power across vast distances while enforcing the blockade with precision. But the real show of force, we saw it on the CENTCOM page, the Navy's P-8 Poseidon maritime patrol aircraft. They're flying extended missions over the Gulf using sophisticated radars, sonobuoys, electro-optical sensors to hunt down IRGC fast attack boats. So once these fast attack boats start getting struck, the P-8 Poseidon might be the main one, passing that intel to the U.S., to the Aegis system that is on the different surface vessels in the carrier strike group, pumping that information, sharing it with the P-8 Poseidon, and vice versa, getting exactly dialed in, targeting solutions for those fast attack craft. Once that kicks off, and we could see that happen at any minute. And then we've got the F-35. That brings the unmatched stealth and sensor fusion to the family for the U.S. military's ultimate strike packages. So when you're going to strike down suppression of enemy air defenses, if the conflict kicks back off, the F-35B blasting off the assault ships from the Marine Expeditionary Unit. Also, the F-35A is a theater for the Air Force, likely dozens of those things. They're just right there
in the Middle East, postured and ready to go. And then the F-35C blasting off of the carriers. That triple combo, that F-35 family, is ready to crush anything that the IRGC throws at it. And then tying it all together, you got to bring in the adults in the room that keeps everybody on the same page, and that's the RQ-4 Global Hawk. The Navy variant is the MQ-4C Triton. Those are ISR, intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance beasts. They loiter for 30-plus hours at a time using powerful synthetic aperture radars, electro-optical systems to stare down the strait and Iranian coastline 24/7. This is a stage 5 clinger on steroids.
Don't ever leave me. Ever. Good. Good night. Bye.
Okay, here I come.
All victims
of the victims
are protected.
So very
you are
important.
protected under. Do you want me to answer or do you want to interrupt?
Well, because you're not answering the question. You do a Jekyll and Hyde kind of.
EA and its Director General through evidence bias in favor of warmongering parties paved the way for the current violence and bloodshed is now clearer than ever. We call on the IAEA Board of Governors to immediately convene and carry out its legal responsibility in response to the dangerous US attack on Iran's peaceful nuclear facilities, all of which have been under the agency's full safeguards and monitoring. The world must not forget that it was the United States which, in the midst of a process to forge a diplomatic outcome, betrayed diplomacy by supporting the genocidal Israeli regime's launch of an illegal war of aggression on the Iranian nation. Not content with such malign actions, the United States itself has now also opted for a dangerous military operation and aggression against the people of Iran. In doing so, the US administration holds sole and full responsibility for the consequences of its actions, including the Islamic Republic of Iran's right to self-defense under the principles of the United Charter. In accordance with the UN Charter and its provisions allowing a legitimate response in self-defense, Iran reserves all options to defend its security interests and people. Thank you very much.
We will now be taking questions. We'd like to start with the Associated Press.
Distinguished Minister, are the doors for negotiation still open? Can you hear me now? Distinguished Minister, the question is as follows. Is the door for negotiation still open?
Almost there, almost there.
No translation. Interpreter, please speak.
Can you hear me, sir? Can you hear me, sir? In the English channel, can you hear me?
Georgia. Couldn't be more grateful for your leadership, how forceful you have been on this issue being one that is dedicated to protecting the rights of women as it pertains to equal opportunity, safety, and privacy. Really simple, should be common sense, but here we are. But nonetheless, an important fight, a worthwhile one, and I would argue an urgent one. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just to be clear, if that bill did cross your desk as governor, would you have signed it or vetoed it?
I don't support the government making decisions about who should compete in athletics. I believe that decision should be left to respective
Can't get it out.
associations.
So you would have vetoed it?
Yes.
If that bill came across your desk and you were governor, would you sign it or veto it?
I would have vetoed it because it's really just a red herring that Republicans have used to generate votes on election day. Listen, we should never allow the power of the state to be used to bully innocent children, to create chaos in the lives of families who are dealing with very personal issues. Yes, I would veto it, but more than that, I would expose the hypocrisy of it and focus people back on the key issues rather than focusing on transgender sports that can be dealt with by athletic associations.
As governor, I would have vetoed the bill because at the end of the day, this bill was not about making a difference. It was about simply picking a fight and proving a point. I think at the end of the day, this conversation needs to be had in small circles, in communities, and not sitting at the legislature trying to worry about their next mail piece in a campaign.
That the Olympics have said they are not allowing trans women anymore competing in women's sports. I imagine this is going to be an issue in the Democratic primaries. It's another one where you can make Democrats die on the hill that they died on last time.
It's an issue within the Democratic Party. That's their own damn problem. Biological men should not be competing against biological girls in sports. I am a supporter of the LGBTQ plus community. Yeah. I don't want to get in the way of anybody's civil rights, civil liberties, or anything like that. But what about protecting the young ladies? Young ladies going up against men, biological men. There is no excuse for that. And by the way, you know what? You could be, Liam Thomas, for example, was a male and he was ranked like a swimmer now. Yeah, swimmer. He was ranked like over 400th in the world. And then he became a she. Right. Okay. He became, transitioning. And number one. Well, damn it, does it really take an Einstein to realize that there's something wrong with that picture? I mean, are we kidding ourselves? We're talking sports. That's my lane, and I'm telling you, there is no reason for a biological male to be competing in women's sports. We certainly don't see biological women transitioning and trying to compete in men's sports. I don't hear about that.
But is there, when the Democratic debates come, is there one candidate on that stage who's going to be clear like this, who's going to just say it outright like that?
No.
Exactly. And that's why they're going to be vulnerable.
You got a lot of Democrat women out there that, are feminists, they're strong, and so forth and so on. But this particular issue, they're like, no, it's okay. There's no difference. It's the same. Although, the dude, Will Thomas, just destroyed those young ladies swimming. Last summer, I don't know if you guys remember, I think we talked about it, the dude that he had 3 no-hitters in the state playoffs, out in Minnesota. I mean, these girls, he was playing girls softball. They couldn't hit him at all. And then he was hitting home runs. So he was like the Shohei Ohtani of that going girls softball.
Make it make sense. Please make it make sense.
I don't hear nobody on the Lord's internet in my face tell me nothing about my body, my choice, women's rights, women's this, women's nothing. If you over there talking like that, like Keisha Lance Bottoms and that, I want to hear nothing from y'all because you're fake. You're fake and you're weak. And I'm going to tell you why. Because you want to yell about women's rights and the patriarchy. The most patriarchy thing that I've ever seen is a man decide that he's
almost
going to be
almost there.
in women's spaces and dominate in women's spaces. Tell me how that's not patriarchy, but y'all yelling patriarchy. Y'all don't even know what it means. Y'all sound ridiculous. That's the point. Y'all sound ridiculous. Y'all defend this. Y'all are not protecting little girls that are in sports, in the locker rooms. You're not protecting little girls in the bathrooms. You're not protecting little girls in those spaces.
Thank you.
just like we say about it's not about black anymore, the race isn't a thing. I don't even think this gender thing is a real thing anymore. And
Thank you guys. We are growing. We are growing. Almost at 2,000 subs. Amazing.
We are
Thank
there
you.
for the women. We stand up against the patriarchy. We are feminists, but you are literally letting men into women's spaces. Do you know that I was doing some research before, and I didn't even know we were talking about this, about the amount of women that have been SA'd by people who are pretending to be women, going into women's spaces. And y'all are saying, well, we care about
Arnold, thank you, man. You're a blessing, man. Man, thank you. Thank you.
And y'all are so confused, y'all don't even know the truth no more. That's a problem. Exactly what Stephen A. Smith said. You don't hear about women running in, transitioning to be in men's sports. If a woman transitions, she transitions, that's her business. But she's not transitioning to be in men's sports. But you see men coming in to transition to go into women's sports because they were lackluster in their own field.
That's right.
They were lackluster. They've been playing with the men. So
nobody
want to win, because they want to dominate, because of that, they said the only way we can do that is going into women's sports. And you have those three people who are running for governor of Georgia, and they would want to protect women. Every woman in Georgia should be upset. And stop trying to be key with your little girlfriend. And y'all know who I'm talking about. Y'all know who I'm talking about. Those that sit over there, they be playing that they're a man, but they're a woman, but they're really a man. Stop keying with them, because at the end of the day, they will sit down on TikTok and be yelling, women don't gatekeep menstruation. Women don't gatekeep having babies. Women, who else? I mean, only women can do that. No man can do that. No man can have a menstruation. No man can deliver a baby.
What?
So please stop with the foolishness and stop protecting these sick people, because all we need is more women being in problems, more little girls being put in danger because of y'all delusional way of thinking. I am so sick of it, and I don't want to hear nobody tell me anything about the feminist movement, because y'all don't know what that is. The devil is the author of confusion, and we see it.
I want to play this clip because in California, they got a similar situation. Y'all know there's a governor race going on in California, and the same question was asked to the candidates out in California.
Transgender athlete debate. Where do you stand on the debate over trans athletes, specifically in student sports?
In student sports, I want to overturn the legislation that enables that. It's not fair. It's not fair for girls who've worked so hard. I mean, look, I'm wearing it here. I've got this wristband, which was given to me. I went to Clovis. It says very clearly, Save Girls Sports. A young fighter for girls sports gave me that. I spoke at the track and field championships at Clovis earlier in the year to announce my plan, which is to overturn the legislation. The governor has the right to challenge legislation and overturn legislation through the courts if the governor believes that it violates the state constitution. So we believe that legislation, me and my legal team, violates the California Constitution in two specific places.
How so?
Section 28, which guarantees safe schools, and Section 31, which bans gender discrimination.
Thank you, guys. Man, almost at 2,000 subs. Wow.
My focus in terms of the campaign I'm running is those core everyday issues of, everything being so expensive, housing costs, gas prices, those things, the business climate. But this is a big issue, and parents raise it with me the whole time. And so I would argue, and we will argue in the courts, that actually the gender discrimination that is supposedly protected in that bill is going the other way. And that legislation now discriminates against girls who are on sports teams and have worked so hard, and they end up being denied the opportunities they worked for because of that bill. So I think we've got a good case on gender discrimination grounds, and most Californians are against that. Most Californians want that to change. Every poll shows that.
I was going to say, can you cite a poll?
Yeah, I mean, the last one I saw just within California was, I believe, 69% against that, which is a big number for California, given that this is an issue that Democrats have championed. So the Democrats are on the wrong side of California public opinion on this. I want people to live the lives they want to live. That's the whole point of my campaign. restoring the California dream. Live how you want to live, be who you want to be. That's California. We really cherish that. So do I. I want to make sure that that is protected.
But does that also apply to these transgender children?
Yes, that's exactly who I had in mind when I said that. It applies to everybody in California, but it also means that the choices of one person shouldn't impede the freedoms of another person. That's society. We have to figure this out in the kind of thick of everyday life. And I think this legislation, often legislation, by the way, is the wrong way to solve these kinds of issues. We've got to do it in a more human way. We've got to use common sense. And I think that's
common sense. That's what it's about.
And I think this legislation has ended up creating tension and division, which shouldn't be there. And so I'd like to repeal that legislation.
So you're already coming in saying, we think there are several California laws that are unconstitutional, and you're going to come in with your lawyers and try to overturn
them. I'll ask the legislature to overturn it. That'll be my first step.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say, if we still have a majority, it's not going to happen. But okay, assuming they don't overturn it.
Yes.
How does that work with the state attorney general? So the attorney general is elected.
Yes.
And certainly the current attorney general has a very good relationship with the current governor.
Yes.
What do you do if you have an attorney general who doesn't agree with you? I mean, it's not an agency that you can necessarily unilaterally.
Oh, and you shouldn't. But that's something I've thought about and actually learned about. Actually, the attorney general is required to file that lawsuit if the governor determines that it's violates the state constitution, regardless of party.
Transgender athlete debate. Where do you stand on the debate over trans athletes in student sports?
As a dad, as a coach, as a man, as a rational human being, boys should not be competing against girls. As a coach, I absolutely know that boys have no place in girls' sports. And I'll go one step further. This is the extreme at the age level. And I'm picking high school for a reason, just because of those ages. As your governor, there will never be an 18-year-old boy walking through a 14-year-old girl's locker room naked.
My overwhelming feeling about transgender young people is the awareness that half of them try and kill themselves before they're 18. So when I think about this debate, the thing that I'm concerned about is how many desperate, vulnerable young people there are who literally try to kill themselves, who feel completely unaccepted. So I'm someone who loves sports. I played 3 sports in high school. I played varsity sports through college. I love sports. But if you ask me what is more important, then, is it who gets to be on the team or who's accepted as a human being and doesn't try and kill themselves? My heart goes out to the vulnerable people who are trying to kill themselves. And to be clear, this is not some huge epidemic. This is a right-wing attempt to victimize and villainize already vulnerable and desperate people. And my heart completely goes out to the people who are so sad, feel so rejected, so unaccepted, that half of them would try and kill themselves. That's my overriding concern here. And I believe Allah is right.
Transgender athlete debate. Where do you stand on the debate over trans athletes, specifically in student sports?
Yep. So I think these are rules that can and should be set by the governing bodies. And so the case of California schools.
Why the government? That's the problem, man. F the government. Jesus Christ. The government. Thank you, Jarnell. Thank you, bro.
Sports, the California Interscholastic
Thank you for the super
Federation,
chat.
they should be making this decision at every level of sports competition.
Thank you, guys. Wow, 1,900 subs. Thank you.
That says that pupils must be permitted to participate in school programs and activities, including athletics teams or facilities, based on their gender identity, irrespective of the gender listed on their record. So it is not interscholastic here in California.
No, the Interscholastic Federation helps determine the rules under which those competitions occur. So things like the placement of athletes in first, second, third, and fourth, for example, in individual sports. So I think this policy is largely the goal of school sports. We got to ask ourselves, why do we have school sports? As a mom, why do I have my daughter play sports? Because I want her to learn teamwork. I want her to be strong and healthy. I want her to learn how to be coached and get that feedback. And so I think it's important that everybody be given that opportunity. So school sports are not about being the best or brightest. They are about learning how to play in a team. They are about building that skill to go to that next more competitive level.
This lady is full of it. high school sports are definitely about who's the best and who's the brightest. There's money on the line. There's NIL on the line. There's scholarships on the line. You want a participation trophy, go play youth sports. That's for that. When you get to the high school level, when there's scholarships on the line and there's basically, let's call it name, image, and likeness money on the line. This isn't everybody gets a participation trophy for showing up. No, this is definitely not that. This lady is full of it, man.
And there's an argument by some saying they can't get to that next level or they're losing scholarships if they're unfairly competing against somebody who
look how big she is.
Ability that they don't.
Given the very small
she ain't playing no sports.
Trans athletes competing in California, I have not seen any data to support that claim.
Okay, and so you are supportive of the current law.
Yes.
Where do you stand?
One is too many, and the one that is out there is dominating. Last year, I mean, he was all over the news. Last year, the dude was he participated in multiple sports in track and field, and I mean, he was dominating, and he was beating girls. I mean, when you start talking about track, you're talking about, tenths of a second. This dude was beating some of these girls by 3 and 4 seconds. He was, when you get beat by 3 or 4 seconds in track, you got smoked. You're not even on the same, when they show the video, you're not even in the film. That's right. You're not even there.
Exactly. The same vote.
On the debate over trans athletes, specifically in student sports.
So look, this is an issue where I think it is disgusting how people have decided to make this a political lightning rod to score political points. And when you look at the numbers, this is a very NCAA sports. It's like you can count the number of athletes on one, maybe 2 hands. Look, I'll tell you what I would tell my daughter. I have a daughter who plays soccer. I love watching her play. It's my favorite thing to do each week is to go out and watch her play. I can imagine a scenario where she ends up in a game and there's a transgender athlete, born a boy, who I could imagine that being unfair. And that would be a conversation we would have, and I can imagine it being unfair. But I also think that we are allowing ourselves to devolve into using that as a litmus test that is actually about demonizing difference, dividing people, scoring political points. And I'm just not going to be a governor who allows vulnerable people to be a punching bag.
He's lying.
Dude's full of it. Because I tell you what, his daughter plays soccer. Do y'all remember a movie that came out in the 90s? And there was a dude who put on a little woman's wig or whatever the case may be, female wig, and he ended up joining the girls' soccer team. And I mean, this dude was scoring 7-8 goals a game. I mean, he was just destroying these girls out there. But it seems like they've been setting us up for this for probably about 20 years.
How you doing, Bella? Welcome to the chat. Welcome.
And, there's been a few other movies out there that they've set up. Everywhere that you see one of these.
Thank you guys for being in the chat. Really appreciate you guys. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. 1,900 subs so far. And it's 2 hours and 28 minutes in. We're going to continue. I really, really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. Man, that's amazing. Thank you. Appreciate that, Johnny Bones. Thank you. Like and subscribe, everybody. Thank you. Let's continue.
In women's sports, we saw it in Connecticut with the 2 dudes they basically won everything in Connecticut, track and field. That was about 5 or 6 years ago. We saw that happen. We saw the dude up in Minnesota, the softball player. We saw the volleyball player that spiked the ball so hard that he basically put a young lady out of commission.
Thank you, guys.
She didn't play the game anymore because she caught a concussion because dude spiked the ball like it was nobody's business. Yep. And then we also, witnessed what happened out in Oregon with the
Hunter. Thank you, Hunter and Patty. Thank you guys. You guys are a blessing. Thank you so much.
Is that you never see it on the other end of the spectrum, though. That's what makes it weird. If you saw women transitioning.
Thank you guys. Name is Deunta. Really appreciate it. Name is Deunta. Live in Rockford, Illinois. Really appreciate it. Thank you guys.
Okay, whatever. But when you only see it one way,
subscribe if you haven't.
Not even close when they get in there. So it's just like, how many more examples are needed out there? before the Democrats would say, you know what, this is probably not a good idea. Whatever you want to do and be in your personal life, however you want to, identify yourself, that's your business. But when you start infringing upon other people's abilities and rights, that's where we should draw the line.
Biological women, come to the front. Biological women, we are calling you.
Thank you, Johnny Bones. Thank you.
You have been abandoned by the Democrat Party. You have been abandoned by the feminists. You have been abandoned by the Title IX activists. Save yourselves. This is your last chance. You're going to have to save yourself. And if you want to know how to do it, this is how you should do it. If a transgender person joins your team, every biological girl on the team immediately quit. Shut these leagues down. Let's remember what Title IX was. Title IX was a money grab. It was a set aside so that the same amount of money, this is where separate but equal was fine. The same amount of money that was given.
This is my YouTube channel. I do long forms and short form videos and short YouTube.
Given to men's sports programs had to be given to female sports programs. They have looted now for about 30 years all of the government money that has gone into women's sports. If there are no women participating in women's sports, they cannot get the money.
And this is the one I did yesterday. Check it out. That's the one I did yesterday. Hope you guys like it.
Leagues can't function. Shut the league down. Refuse to participate. Save yourself. That's the only chance you have at possibly being able to compete fairly, is to have to risk it by shutting it down. Right. Everyone knows that it is an unfair advantage to have men competing against biological women. This is elementary school information. The only question is, why on earth are the Democrats and apparently the Californians running for governor, save Steve Hilton, fighting so hard for this? They know this doesn't make any sense. All right, the rationale is the transgenders are vulnerable people. We have vulnerable people all over the society, but we can't turn the whole world upside down because there's vulnerable people. I mean, they're not doing it for any other group of vulnerable people. So that seems odd. So what is the real push for why they want this upside down, topsy-turvy competition? I would like to offer a theory. My theory is simply this. There is such an attack on gender, and there's been publicly an attack on gender. I think the attack on gender is because gender is the really only evidence that you have to prove your humanity. If I were to go up to you and say, you say, what are you? And you say, I'm human. And I say, how do you know? Most people would say, because I'm a man, because I'm a woman. We use gender as our evidence of the fact that we are human. It has worked for thousands of years. The only way you understand yourself as a human is as a gender. So here's the question. Who benefits if we become genderless?
Crazy people.
Well, and those who are looking for something beyond humanity. If you are trying to transition human beings into something beyond humanity, you have to have a society that at the most has very little regard for gender, but in the best case scenario has no need for it, can build a new understanding of themselves outside of gender. Because that's the only way we've been able to understand ourselves since inception. And that is because in the Garden of Eden, it was clear. There was a man and there was a woman. So from the very beginning, the only self-concept we have is deeply steeped in gender. Genderlessness throws away the 6,000 years of human understanding. and moves us into something heretofore unknown?
Well, a few things. I'm going to start with the fact that those Democratic males, as it pertains to them running for governor, they're all absolutely beta. And they all believe that the government is on the spectrum. All right? There's just different facets of how you want to use it. I agree with Celeste because there is something called the LGBTQ plus AI. And they're going to use AI to, amongst other things, to infuse with gender, male, female. And once you do that, you not only are transitioning from being human, you now are on
No problem, Arnold. Thank you, man. I'll be back tomorrow. No problem. Thank you, man. Appreciate you guys. You're a blessing, man. May God bless everybody.
Kindle.
Thank you.
So everything is.
Oh man, thank you. Okay.
Where you can't tell one thing from the other.
Thank you.
No more any biases. So there's nothing there that each gender would respectfully fight for. There's nothing there that you have to speak up for. It's very part of the psychological psychosis that I would say that we've been on for the last 20 years and in my entire time.
Thank you.
Again, we're fighting for Title IX. Lance Bottom says she doesn't, believe in the government intervening.
Subscribe if you guys haven't already. Subscribe.
Why are we fighting for Title IX? Like, what is the point? It would make no sense because the government has intervened, even though the top government, the top executive branch, Miss Jackson, says that she doesn't know what a woman is. So we have people that don't know what a woman is. We have people that don't believe the government should intervene, but the government is intervening. It's all on the spectrum. It's just a weird case of Democrats trying to confuse people. And then when you get into the whole trans kid situation, 1%, 1.4% of the population is trans kids, whatever that actually means. But 1.4%. So we are going to take 1.4% and fight for them. Most of them aren't going to be on the team. If that is the case, build a league for trans kids. Okay? If biological girls want to run after a ball that they will never catch, by all means, go get it. The point of the matter is, why subject 99% of the population to this? And it's because it's an agenda there. They're trying to push this as far as they can, and they're starting with the kids. Because once the adults, have their minds made up, there's no change in their minds. No matter how you tell them to vote and everything like that. You catch the kids. You catch them between the ages of 0 and 7, you got them forever. So that's why I think they're now focusing more on the kids. California has all those laws where they can do whatever to your kids and don't have to tell you. And that is for a strategic reason, because they want the minds of the children.
That's your point.
Yeah. And I'm going to say this. If we want to say that men and women can do the same things, I will say, look at Serena Williams. She practices with the 200, not two, the 200 man in tennis. She can't beat him. But we're allowing high school girls to play with boys at their peak.